Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
Metempsychosis by MasterSizzler. The excitement of a journey is that it is unpredictable. Would it be still fun after getting immense power? Why, of course. Follow the journey back from time into the vast world of New World, featuring a overpowered Luffy. Brian McKenzie, Warlord. Zach Travis, Warlord. Garrick Russell, Warlord. Ben Brownlee, Warlord. King Nemo, Warlord. Tristan Ward, Warlord. Adios.
The wind raced, seemingly wanting to catch up with something. The battlefield was covered with corpses, blood trailing from it and burnt putrid smell filling the air around. It was eerily silent. The only sound that could be heard was the shallow breathing of someone, lying on his back looking up to the sky. His eyes were void, tear trails across his cheeks and blood smeared across his face. The ever-present smile on his face was gone. Only thing remained was the emotionless face, yet it contained thousands of emotions. It was as if he couldn't express how he felt. Then a small smile broke on his face. "Guys, we did it. We reached Laughtail." His voice was raspy and dry. He coughed up some more blood. No one replied. His comrades were dead, lying somewhere in the pool of blood. They had lost. It wasn't their way. They didn't usually lose that easily. But the enemies were strong beyond their comprehension. Some of his crew fell so easily, it was almost laughable. Some put up a good fight. The upper echelon of their crew maintained their own fight some extent, but the distraction between their crewmates falling and the power difference that still was apparent led them to losing their lives. Only one remained. Losing his crewmates and family had cracked something inside of him, something so powerful that the control of his own body was taken away. He was numb to the happening, only coming to control after it all ended. That power obliterated almost all the second half of Grand Line. It felt like the energies around them that is trapped flowed through him. Something like an ancient god. But he didn't know, nor did he care. Apparently, the power was too much for his body to handle. He knew he was dying. Some part of his mind whispered that he had achieved his dream. But he knew it was useless without his family present. He had always wanted to die without regret. Something that had been his motto for entirety of his life. Even at the face of his death, he wanted to laugh, like one another who held this same title. But he couldn't, not when all his family couldn't achieve their dream. He felt regret and sorrow. He wanted to cry, yet his eye sockets were empty of tears. He felt his life fading out. His mind echoing only thing that he wanted right now. If only I could have saved them, if only they could have achieved their dreams, if only I had another chance. Perhaps because he wanted and willed it, or it was just the mysterious wish of the energies all around him. The place glowed bright white, enough to blind anyone present in the vicinity, and suddenly, he was gone. Monkey D. Luffy, the second pirate king, one known as Joy Boy, traveled across the stream, to an unknown destination. Luffy woke up, or rather confused as to why he was sleeping in the first place. He looked around, which was dark. He could hear various beeping sounds. He turned to his left to see many devices hanging off his arm, face. He tore them off and got off the bed he was sleeping in. When his feet landed on the ground, he was assaulted with agonizing pain across his body. He fell to the ground and screamed as he couldn't control his pain. His body started to morph, and his head was burning in pain. His head was filled with broken images, of which he couldn't understand quite well. He knew it meant something, but he was filled with too much pain to care about them now. His screams attracted audience, as the door suddenly opened, and light blinded him as he was in a dark room. His legs and hands started to grow a bit until he reached 6 feet 3, which felt strangely familiar. There was a certain power that coursed through his body, but it felt constrained and left him feeling weak. He started remembering 2 different streams of memories, one reminding him of Ace's death, War of the Best, Whitebeard, Akainu, Sengoku. Another one reminding strange yet familiar names, Trafalgar Law, Doflamingo, Kaido, Big Mom, The pain again grew high. His vision started blacking out, but he remembered one thing that was consistent on both the streams: to get stronger. He came around to consciousness once again after a while. He looked around to familiar faces standing. "Trafi, how are you here?" Luffy exclaimed. Trafalgar Law was shocked to say the least, and his face twitched at the nickname that was given to him. "I had assumed you wouldn't know who I was. And my name is Trafalgar Law, not Trafi," Law yelled. He was shocked to see Luffy at least a foot higher than before, almost rivaling his own height. Luffy, though, didn't react much to what Law said. His pain wasn't completely gone, yet it was much more manageable. "Where am I?" Luffy questioned. "You're in Amazon Lily right now. Boa Hancock brought us here because you were in a critical condition and we had to save from Marines after. Well, that happened," Law said, trying not to bring up the Paramount War. "What happened? Why would I be in Amazon Lily?" Luffy was confused, and nothing made sense. "Well, after your brother died, there was no place that we could safely provide you treatment compared to being under the protection of one of the warlords," Law explained. Luffy's face morphed into serious frown. He could remember everything vividly: Impel Down, the war, Ace's death. It all felt so recent and so distant at the same time. He certainly felt grief and sadness on losing Ace, but it also felt like he had come in terms with his death. While Luffy was pondering upon the issue, another figure entered the room. Jinbei was covered in bandages and his wounds were healing well, all thanks to the expertise of Dr. Trafalgar Law. Upon hearing the door opening and closing, Luffy looked up and he had a huge grin on his face. "Jinbei!" The rubber man jumped and hugged Jinbei in the blink of an eye. Jinbei laughed and hugged back, relieved to see Luffy in normal state rather than throwing tantrums. "Luffy-kun, how do you feel? Do you still feel pain?" Jinbei inquired. "I feel fine, a bit weird if I say so myself. My head hurts a lot still. But I think I could manage. My memories are a bit jumbled, and I feel like I'm missing a lot of things." Jinbei frowned. Now that he thought about it, it was weird that there was pretty much no reaction other than the frown was given when Law mentioned about Ace's death. He was unsure whether to be happy that Luffy couldn't remember much about the traumatic experience or to be sad that Luffy couldn't grieve properly about the death of his brother. While Jinbei was contemplating about this predicament, rustling sounds were heard and a large boom followed up. A cry echoed through the air. Everyone in the room visibly tensed. Luffy's senses screamed of a powerful presence nearby. Yet it felt so familiar. Everyone rushed outside to see a sea king floating on the sea. It was dead, blood flowing from its head. A figure climbed up the rock shore nearby. He wore no shirt, as he was carrying it in his hand along with his overcoat. He wore red trousers with a green hilt carrying a katana. He was old, his hair and beard white. His glasses reflected the sun, a vertical scar running through his eye giving him a rough look. When he turned towards the ship, collection of gasps was heard. Grin broke into Luffy's face. Dark King Rayleigh. Rayleigh was swimming towards Amazon Lily, as his boat was destroyed by the storm. As he neared Amazon Lily, he felt a familiar presence. He was happy that the reason why he swam all the way was alive. But something was wrong. His presence was enormous, similar to his own. The power rolled off of him was massive, even miles away from where he was. As he closed in, the presence grew and grew. Rayleigh didn't really know what to make of it. He supposed he could make his confusions clear once he met him properly. Luffy jumped up and reached the shore, ignoring the protests of the doctors on the crew. He was really happy to meet Rayleigh. He immediately went and hugged the old man. Others were shocked not only by the antics of Luffy, but also the fact that Rayleigh was laughing merrily and hugged back. Rayleigh's essay minute, as it was processing the enormous amount of power that Luffy's body contained. He couldn't sense this the first time they met in Sabaody. He was thinking of various reasons as to why such changes occurred. "Old man, what are you doing here?" Luffy asked. Rayleigh snapped out of his musings and looked properly at Luffy. He could see he was grown a bit taller. "I came to see you, Luffy-kun. And I have a lot to discuss with you," he replied. Jinbei finally came out of his shock. "It's an honor to meet such a great legend," Jinbei said, clearly a bit nervous. Rayleigh acknowledged him with a nod and said, "The Knight of the Sea, Jinbei. I have heard a lot about you." Meanwhile, Luffy felt something missing. He looked around and finally spotted what he was searching. Trafalgar Law held his straw hat. Within a blink of eye, he moved near Law. Law was startled to core. He had never seen someone move so fast. These didn't go unnoticed by someone. "Hey Trafi, could you give back my hat?" Luffy asked. Law realized he was still holding onto it and gave it to him. Luffy received it with a wide grin on his face but didn't put it on. Luffy looked at Law and bowed his head. Law quickly realized where this was heading. "Stop, what were you going to do?" Law yelled. Luffy looked up confused. "I wanted to thank you for saving my life." "Don't. I am sure we will meet again somewhere in the future. I guess you could tell your thanks then." Law felt guilty a little for manipulating him like this, but he shrugged it off. He wasn't a saint. He was a pirate. He had to use his chances. Luffy said nothing but just nodded with a grin. Law nodded back and ordered his crew to prepare for leaving. Some whined about leaving the island of beautiful women when they haven't even had a chance to go inside, but compiled under the glare of their captain. The place was busy, constant rustling could be heard. Orders thrown out and people were working as fast as they could to complete the work. The castle was happy that Luffy was awake. The person who was probably the happiest was pacing back and forth, waiting impatiently for the cooks to be done. She is considered as the most beautiful woman in the world, Empress of Amazon Lily and Pirate Empress, Boa Hancock. As the cook gave his signal about the food being ready to serve, she immediately rushed to the carriage which she uses to travel. She had prepared a banquet worth of food just for a single man, the man who she fell in love with. Man of her dreams, and the thought of him brought blushing on her face in full force. She heard from her messenger that he was finally out of his deathbed and was awake. She couldn't wait to meet him with his goofy grin on his face. As she reached the shore where the ship was anchored, she spotted Luffy along with Jinbei and another person who looked familiar. But she completely ignored them as she made a straight march towards Luffy. Comical hearts present over her eyes in adoration. "Luffy, I am so glad you are awake," she said, gushing over his health. Luffy beamed at her, which made her swoon and dance comically. "Hancock, I am so glad to see you. Thank you for helping me infiltrate into Impel Down and for providing me with the key back during the war. If not for you, I might have not gotten the chance to meet Ace one last time." The final sentence was said with a sad smile on his face. Hancock blushed at the thanking. "It's no problem, Luffy. I would do anything for you." And it was true. Luffy was immediately attracted by the smell permeating from all the food that has brought there. A huge roar was heard, and everyone turned towards Luffy. It was his stomach. He unabashedly laughed and immediately went to eat. Everyone smiled at that scene. It was good to see him behaving normally after Ace's death. Rayleigh, though, was confused. He had expected some commotion. He wasn't sure if the thing he had wanted to accomplish by coming here would happen. Once Luffy finished gulping down enormous amounts of food, he looked towards Rayleigh. Rayleigh motioned him to sit in front of him. He then stayed silent for some moments before he started to talk. "So Luffy-kun, what do you plan on doing now?" Rayleigh broke the silence that was spreading around them. "I want to meet my crew and set sail again," Luffy replied. Rayleigh looked disappointed by that answer, but he had expected it. But what Luffy said next was not on that list. "But I don't feel this is the correct time to meet them. As a captain, I am supposed to protect them. But, as much I want to be there, I cannot be with them all the time. I don't feel they are ready for this journey yet." Rayleigh's eye widened and small grin etched his face. This was going better than he expected. "That is a very mature way of thinking, Luffy-kun. But what about you? What are you going to do about this?" "I think I am going to train. I am going to improve my Haki and Devil Fruit powers," Luffy replied, unaware of the shock that Rayleigh felt. How is he supposed to know about Haki? I suppose he could know about that by listening to others when he was in Amazon Lily during the few days of his stay. But still, that doesn't explain why he said improve his Haki rather than start his training. Rayleigh's mind was working as fast as it could. "I think I have to keep that aside for the time being and continue on with my plan," he thought. "Luffy-kun, if you aren't opposed, may I propose a plan? Of course, it is up to you to decide whether if you want to do this or not." "Sure, old man. What is the plan?" Luffy replied. Luffy knew Old Man had way better planning and decision-making compared to him. "You were supposed to meet again with your crew after 3 days, right?" After receiving a nod from Luffy, he continued. Instead of meeting again after 3 days, why don't you postpone it to 2 years? Luffy barely thought about it before nodding. I think that makes sense. They can train in the 2 years. He bobbed his head. Rayleigh mused that he has had way too many surprises on this occasion that he didn't expect. He thought it was better to go with the flow rather than trying to question everything. Perhaps he underestimated Luffy's knowledge. Yes, we could go to Marineford again and do a ritual to pray for the dead, so to speak. It would also prove that you are not really dead and provide a message to your crew. Rayleigh finished his explaining. Luffy beamed. This was a good plan. This could provide a message to his crew that he wasn't dead and that they had to train for the new world and that he wanted to pay his respects to the Whitebeard and Ace. I think this is a great plan. Let's do it, Luffy exclaimed. He was excited to go already. Rayleigh laughed at his protégé's excitement. The Marines in the Marineford were busy fixing the broken island. There were Marines running all over the island, shouting out commands as well, helping those who were injured. Reporters were around the island taking pictures, interviewing higher officials about the outcome of the war. I am sure the Marine would probably shift their headquarters to somewhere else, a reporter spoke. But now might not be the right time. Yes, you are right. After the war, many pirates started to migrate more into New World and the pirates are more active than ever, another replied. Ah, speaking of that, here is another squad which has come back after their mission, he said, spotting a Marine ship entering the headquarters. But unlike other ships, the ship turned and started to go around the island rather than going straight to docks. What are they doing? A Marine yelled, confused. The confusion turned chaos when they heard a cannon going off. People started panicking and started running around in the hope to avoid the explosion, but the explosion never came. A blank? But why would they do that? They're acting weird? The reporter questioned. Marines started gathering around as they heard the blank shot. Has the warship tried to contact us? A Marine captain yelled. No sir, his subordinate replied. This is impossible. One yelled. Who hadnd? WH. Why is he? What is it? The captain asked. It's Straw Hat Luffy. The Marine yelled. Commotion started around with reporters gathering around for the interesting piece of news that they might get. Send that Marine warship to bottom of the ocean, the captain ordered. Yes sir, his subordinates yelled and moved to work. Cannons fired from all the directions towards the ship. Fishmen Jujutsu. Sea current lifter. A massive wall of water rose in front of the warship, stopping any incoming cannonballs and preventing the ship from getting damaged. Is that Sea Knight, Jinbei? There is another man on board sir, the Marine yelled. The cannons fired again and the said man was on board with small pebbles on his hand. He threw the pebbles with precision on the path of the cannonballs. It intercepted the cannonballs on its tracks and made them blast in the air. Don't tell me, that is the living legend, former first mate of Roger Pirates, Dark King, Silver's Rayleigh? The Marine yelled. Others started shivering in fear. Just the aura of the Dark King was enough to make them almost piss on the spot. The ship showed no signs of stopping. Why aren't they stopping? A reporter questioned. They are circling around the entire island. It's like a funeral at the sea, a Marine answered. You miserable pirates. How dare you mock us? The Marine yelled and ordered the Marines to fire at the warship again. Cannons fired from all the directions again. This time it hit the warship and fire started around the ship. But there were no signs of pirates. Just when the Marines were about to breathe a sigh of relief, 2 figures landed on the island in front of the Marines. Marines were shocked and tightened their hold at their weapons. It's Jinbei and Dark King Rayleigh, a Marine yelled. They're on the island and are still alive. As the Marines were gathering, another figure landed in front of them with a huge bang. The floor on the bottom cracked heavily with smoke flying on all the directions. As the smoke cleared, they could see Monkey D. Luffy, standing in all his glory. He looked completely fine, almost as if he suffered no injuries from the battle that happened a few days ago. He stood at even more impressive height and Marines felt chill running through their spines as they looked at his eyes. They looked as if they were blazing from the fire present from the sun. The Marines stood in silence for a few minutes before they gathered their wits and went to attack the 3 pirates. But they were no match for the 3. Marines soon started to fall at a very fast rate. There weren't enough backup present in the island. Luffy started to run towards the ox bell present in front of the main building. The reporters followed him from a far distance, curious to see what he would do. Luffy grabbed the rope tied to the clapper of the bell and started to ring it 16 times to be exact. It marked the end of the old era and start of a new era. He then got down and went to a crack that was present in the island due to the war. He removed a packet of roses and dropped it down in the hole. He then placed his hat on his chest and closed his eyes in silent prayer. Reporters started taking pictures of him as this was a huge news. Torino Kingdom, Chopper was tired and bruised. But he was happy now that the humans and the birds were willing to cooperate and live peacefully. Now the first thing he had to do was get back to Luffy, to Sabaody. He slowly woke up and stood. He walked towards the entrance and opened the door. He immediately spotted a newspaper. He rushed towards it in the hope of finding something about his captain. As he expected, there was some news about Luffy on that newspaper. "Oh, is that so, Luffy? I understood," he said, tears falling from his eyes. "Also, how did he get taller so quickly?" Chopper questioned as he moved towards the center of the village. As Chopper reached the town center, he spotted the village leader talking to an old lady. He went there and waited for their conversation to get over. Finally, the man turned towards Chopper, with a smile on his face. "Chopper-san, what can I do for you?" he asked. I know it's selfish of me to ask you this, but can I stay on this island for 2 more years and perhaps study the different medicinal plants present here?" Chopper asked, bowing his head. He hoped they let him stay here. There were many things present here that could help him with the training. Instead of rejection, which he thought he would get, the man beamed at Chopper. "Of course. We would be very glad to have you here for as long as you need." Now it was Chopper's turn to smile. It was a chance that he wouldn't miss. He would get stronger and provide support for his captain by studying all kinds of medicine present in this island. This was his promise. Boeing Archipelago, Usopp was overweight. His eating did not stop until he heard the news of Ace's death. He tried again and again to escape this monster of an island, only to fail miserably. But that didn't make him give up, not when his captain needs him to be with him. After his god knows how many tries, he sat under a tree, taking some rest as he was completely out of energy. He then heard a squawk. He looked up to see Newsku bringing newspapers. He took one from its talons and paid it whatever food he had, as he was out of Bailey's. He opened the newspaper to see his captain's face on the first page. He immediately understood the message. This was fine. He would use this chance to get much stronger. He also spotted Heracles sitting on a tree branch observing him. "Heracles sensei, please teach me whatever you know," Usopp yelled. He had to start his training from somewhere. Knowing about different things present in the island was a good start. Karakuri Island, Frankie was messing with some devices present in the lab of the great scientist Vegapunk in the hopes to find something that could help him get out of this island. As he was looking at the blueprints of various devices, the newsprinter on the lab started printing again. He glanced at it and spotted the news about his captain. He immediately snatched it and started reading. The message was very clear. He was excited. What better place to get better other than the lab of Vegapunk himself? Perhaps he could build a laser? Tequila Wolf, the revolutionary, was cleaning up the aftermath of the fight that happened in the island. Robin was sitting in a carriage, warming up herself while thinking about the events of war. It was heartbreaking that she couldn't be there for the man who protected her and saved her from killing herself and the Marines. She boarded the ship which the revolutionaries invited her and sat in the deck. She didn't go inside the ship, not that the revolutionary were not trustworthy, but it would take more than a ride for her to trust someone. A revolutionary came out with a paper in her hand. "Robin-san, I think you should see this." He handed the paper over to her. The moment she spotted image, she deciphered the message. A small smile formed her lips. She was weak, running away from Marines and taking cover in pirates. That wouldn't do anymore. Not when she had to prove herself worthy to her captain. Not when she had a dream that she had to fulfill. She would become stronger. No, she would become much more. Sky Island, Weatheria, Nami was not out of the shock. Guilt overwashing her, constantly reminding her that she wasn't present when her captain, her best friend, needed her. Currently she was in the home of Hades. As she was preparing to leave, the sound of paper being delivered reached her ears. She went out to get the newspaper. As she looked at the newspaper, she understood what the message was. She went back inside the house to bargain. Ahem, request Harades for a home to stay in the weatheria for 2 years. Harades-san, as you requested me to stay here for some time, after some serious consideration, I think I can stay here for some time before leaving, Nami said, batting her eyelashes cutely. Harades was confused. He did Nami to stay there for some time. After a few moments, he realized this was her way of requesting permission to stay there for a while. He shook his head in amusement and asked the reason for the sudden change in mind. Luffy is an idiot. He doesn't know how to navigate in the sea. He doesn't know anything about sea. He will get lost and die if I cannot navigate him to the end of the sea. He needs me, I also need him, left unsaid, but Harades understood. That is why I need to learn about Grand Line and New World as much as I can. I also get better at fighting so I could support him and help him achieve his dream. Tears were flowing freely from her eyes as she stared at the endless sky. She would do it, no matter hard it will be. Nakamura Island, Brook was currently sitting at the cage. Silent tears escaping his eyes. Not that he had eyes. Skull joke. He wanted to get out of here and get back to Sabaody, but he couldn't, considering all his possessions were taken and he was being projected as a moving skeleton in a carnival. At least the guys who imprisoned him were making money. The requested newspaper came his way and he opened it to see any news regarding his captain. He understood the underlying message present in the paper. Ah, Luffy-san. I understood. I will become better and improve my music more. It was a promise. A promise that will provide the path in completing another promise. Kamabaka Kingdom, he was beaten up and bruised. The constant fight to escape this island was something he couldn't give up. He was blaming himself for not being strong enough to stop Kuma from sending him to this hell. He would have to soon defeat these queers and escape. He spotted a news crew carrying a newspaper. He noted the message present on the newspaper. He understood why the captain took such decision. He also wanted to get stronger in order to protect everyone, especially the girls. But also, he silently cursed as he was stuck in this hell. But that wasn't enough to deter him from the path he wanted to take. He will get stronger. He will get much, much stronger to protect his crew and achieve his dream. He will also make his cooking better so he could cook the ladies much more delicious food. Eva, could you provide the recipes for me learn? Sanji asked. Ivankov smirked. Why of course. But we cannot give it anyone who requests it. Either you become a queer, or you must defeat 99 queers present across this island to get the recipes. What? That's absurd, Sanji yelled. Oh, not only that, if you accept the challenge, my people will try to put a gown on you all the time. So, you must not only escape from them, but also get the recipes by fighting them, Ivankov said. This was borderline evil, but he didn't care. You bastard, Sanji shouted. He supposed it wasn't easy to get this. Fine, I will do this. I will get all the 99 recipes. He said with determination shining his eyes. He will get stronger. Sanji Kian. Queers yelled. Sanji shivered. It's going to be a long journey. Kuraigana Island. Perhaps it was a stroke of bad luck, perhaps not. Zoro was lost again. He went looking for sea to get out of this island. But the island kept moving. Is it the same palace? Or is it not? Zoro thought, looking at the castle, which he had been hours before. Nah, it's definitely not, Zoro grinned with absolute surety. He heard a crash behind him. He looked to find Perona lying face down on the mud. Who sleeps out here? Why are sleeping here? Zoro asked. Perona's face twitched. It was because of you idiot, she yelled, venting out her frustration of searching for this moss head for hours just to find him near the island. Is your sense of direction that bad? Zoro blushed in embarrassment. It's none of your issue. Why did you even come here? I wanted to show this. She held up a newspaper with Luffy's picture on front. Zoro immediately snatched it and started looking at it. He saw the tattoo on his hands meant something, but he couldn't figure it out. He had to think on it. Asterisk 2 hours later he still couldn't figure out what the message meant. Doesn't mean he is going to give up. Asterisk 3 hours later nope. Asterisk 4 hours later not yet. He knew he was close. He heard sounds of someone fainting near him. He couldn't care. Asterisk 5 hours later he finally deciphered it. He understood what the message meant. He was weak. Being the vice captain meant he had to take care of the crew at the absence of the captain, but he couldn't even defeat a single warlord. How was he supposed to defeat bigger threats that was obvious to come in the latter half of the Grand Line? If he was to achieve his dream, more importantly if he wanted to make his captain achieve his dream, he had to get stronger. Much stronger that he could stand by Luffy and defeat any enemy that comes their way. A while later, he was in the castle, bowing before his goal, world's strongest swordsman, Dracul Mihawk. "What are you doing?" Mihawk asked, disgusted by a man who he deemed worthy of his succession bowing before him. "Train me, what? Are you asking your enemy for instruction? I think I overestimated you," Mihawk replied, disappointment evident in his voice. "I want to get stronger. Get out of here. I have no use for a boring man who couldn't even beat the baboons present in the island." Blood dripped from Zoro's chest. "If you are asking about the baboons, I beat them." Mihawk's eyes widened at the information. "He beat them? The only enemy present here is you. But I am not fooled to think I could beat you here. That is why I need to get stronger." "I don't understand. You see me as enemy, yet you seek my guidance. Why?" "I want to beat you," Zoro replied. Mihawk started laughing. "You want me to train someone who wants to kill me? This is just foolish. But I think you found something that is more important than your ambition. Oi ghost girl, treat him. We will start the training once you're recovered," Mihawk said, ignoring the protest of the ghost girl. Zoro's face brightened and a smile broke on his face. 3D is crossed out and 2Y is visible. "Oh yeah, there is a tattoo on his arm," Perona said. "Yes, we made a certain promise to meet each other after 3 days, but that didn't happen," Zoro said. 3D crossed out meaning 3 days, then 2Y means 2 years. "Oh, 2 years. The meeting will be 2 years instead of 3 days. Even if we rush now, we are not ready for New World. We need to get stronger. And meet again, no matter what," Zoro said. "It would be hard path. But they would do it. They are the crew of next Pirate King after all. Amazon Lily." After the crazy adventure, hoping that the message that he intended to pass was received properly, they returned to Amazon Lily. Rayleigh and Luffy requested Hancock to take them to an island near Amazon Lily, which was called Rusukaina. "Jinbei, are you sure you want to go now?" Luffy asked. Jinbei was standing on a whale. "Yes, Luffy-kun. Then, thank you for everything," Luffy said. "No, I should be the one to thank you. Even though I am ashamed that I begged you to free me from the prison. I am sorry," Jinbei bowed his head. "No, don't sweat it." Luffy waved off. "I wouldn't have made to Marine HQ if it wasn't you, so, show your face." "You're right. There might be something I could do for you in the future. In any case, let's meet again at the Fishman Island after 2 years," Jinbei replied. "Sure." Luffy waved him off. "Rusukaina Island, don't worry Luffy. I will bring you delicious food 3 times a day without fail with meat." Hancock swooned, excited at the prospect to deliver delicious food for Luffy. "No, Hancock," Rayleigh interrupted. "I cannot allow you to bring food and spoil his training." Hancock turned her head towards Rayleigh, anger barely simmering on the surface. "Why should you be the one who decides what I should do for Luffy? I will turn you into stone depending on your answer," Hancock questioned, holding Rayleigh's nose hostage. "For food, we have it in river, lakes, mountains, plants and sea," Rayleigh replied. "If you can't do that kind of survival, you cannot live the life of pirate. This island is perfect for Luffy's training as it has 48 seasons per year." "He is correct Hancock. I want to train seriously and become very strong. Even though the prospect of delicious food interests me, I don't want it. Thank you for the offer. I have already experience on living this kind of life," Luffy said, drool leaking a bit. He quickly wiped it and grinned at Hancock. Hancock frowned a bit at the rejection, but quickly brushed it off and rushed near Luffy. "If it is for Luffy's sake, I think I can do it. But how would I not see you for 2 years?" Sadness was visible clearly on her face. Rayleigh-san, can she visit me once in a month?" Luffy requested, hoping he would agree. Normally Rayleigh would have rejected it, but the power levels of Luffy were high for some reason and his guts told there wasn't much he would do here. And the hopeful expression of Hancock cannot be ignored. "Alright, once a month only. But you should promise you wouldn't bring any food or deliver him in between the meetings," Rayleigh said. Hancock immediately agreed with several nods, not that she had any intention of following the food rule. Then Luffy-kun, "I think it's time for us to go." "Alright old man." Luffy thanked Hancock and her crew for everything again, with the promise of meeting them again after a month. "Luffy, please be safe," Hancock prayed. As they were walking inside, Rayleigh pointed out something to Luffy. "Luffy, ought to remember that tree. It is the safest place on this island. Even the beasts are afraid to come near it," he said, pointing out a tree, which had a huge, pale white bark and leaves spread out like mushroom at the top. Luffy noted it. As he looked around, he could spot various animals, which also had extinct animals similar to those in Little Garden. It had various types of dinosaurs, tigers and elephants of huge sizes. Almost everything felt huge. But Luffy wasn't intimidated. Rayleigh stopped at a point, which was a huge opening. This place was said to be inhabited once, but they all were either destroyed or left this island as the wilderness was too crazy to support those kinds of human settlements. Rayleigh explained. "Now, I wanted to ask you something," Rayleigh said. "Sure. Go ahead, old man. Why did you mention that you wanted to improve your hockey? Did you have prior training about hockey from anywhere?" he questioned. "I am not sure. I know what hockey is. I also know how to use them. But they all feel weird. It is like I have learned about it somewhere. But I don't remember how. I also know I didn't know about hockey prior to Marineford War. It feels like something has unlocked inside me," Luffy said, frowning a little. "You know how to use all the hockeys, including conquerors?" Rayleigh asked, bewildered. "Yes, and also other things with my devil fruit," Luffy answered. Perhaps can you demonstrate me your hockey?" Rayleigh questioned, ignoring the part about devil fruit. He will come back to it later. He didn't want to doubt his protege, but things leading up to this pointed out that he didn't have any knowledge about hockey prior. And learning hockey is not an easy thing. It would take years for someone to learn the basics of it. "Yeah, sure. How about on that elephant that is trying to attack us?" Luffy asked. Rayleigh nodded. Luffy went forward and closed his eyes. He concentrated on his observation hockey. "The elephant is going to try to hit me on my left side with its trunk," Luffy said. Rayleigh's eyes were wide as the elephant was still quite a bit far from Luffy. It took almost 15 seconds for the elephant to come near to Luffy. As it spotted him, it swung its trunk, exactly mimicking what Luffy said earlier. "Left foot forward, right middle swing," Luffy said while dodging the previous hit. Similar to the first time, the elephant swung its trunk on the middle from the right. Rayleigh was in awe as well as shocked that not only did Luffy have observation hockey, but he could see almost 15 seconds into the future, which was a form of advanced observational hockey. Luffy continued to dodge the hits that the elephant was attempting to make. I meant attempting, as Luffy was constantly switching his place way before the elephant could perform its hits, confusing it. Finally tired, it stopped its attacks and charged right at Luffy with its right foot directly coming to stomp him flat. But Luffy raised his right hand, black sheen coating it and a golden aura covering his hands. As the elephant came down with its foot, Luffy's hand barely touched it before the elephant was blasted behind far away, crashing into several trees. "That was Ryu," Luffy mentioned. Once again, Rayleigh was astonished. Not only did Luffy know the basics, but the advanced form of armament hockey, also called Ryu. "Wait, Ryu? Luffy-kun, how did you know about the word Ryu?" Rayleigh questioned. Luffy shrugged. "No idea, it just came into mind while I was doing this. I was fighting with K." Luffy clutched his head in pain as he couldn't complete the sentence. Rayleigh watched this with silent contemplation. He knows something was up, but he couldn't completely point out what was the cause. He looked at the elephant, which he was sure that it was dead, or rather very injured. The aura that flared when Luffy hit it was very potent. "Luffy-kun, that wasn't your full power, was it?" Rayleigh questioned. Luffy shook his head. "Nope, I had a lot more to show. But I don't think there is much that could provide me a good fight." Luffy trailed off. Rayleigh felt a strange excitement. "Then, why don't you fight me? I think you can go all out considering this island is free from humans. You won't hurt anything that's important." He felt sorry for the animals, maybe, perhaps not. "Oh, sure. Let's do it," Luffy said, excitement visible clearly in his face. Rayleigh drew his sword in a well-practiced manner. A black sheen coated it. Red aura covered it, with black and red lighting traveling down the length. Luffy clenched his fists and brought it to a fighting stance. It was covered with hockey and golden aura raging on it. Similar black and red lighting traveled and expanded into the horizon. Rayleigh's eyes widened for a second, before he composed himself. The kid also knew the advanced version of Conqueror's Haki. Perhaps this won't be an easy fight after all. A silence befell on the battlefield. It was eerie and unnerving. Both the fights were calm, but their eyes were sharp, contesting that to an eagle. The animals around them seemingly held their breath, locking strangers to the island. The silence was broken suddenly by a huge boom that rocked the island. The sword and the fist clashed each other, or rather the oars clashed. The fists weren't touching each other. Lightning was flashing around, breaking trees apart, and the animals close to the vicinity went unconscious. Both tried to get the higher ground, but simply it was stuck in the same position. Rayleigh narrowed his eyes and pushed the sword, forcing Luffy to jump back to prevent himself from getting cut. They clashed again, with Luffy swinging his leg, trying to attack Rayleigh in his waist. Rayleigh brought his sword and kept it vertically, stopping the leg. They continued to exchange blows, with Luffy shifting into Gear 2 and sometimes Gear 3 road. Even though they seemed to be equal, it was clear to them that Rayleigh had the upper hand. They locked again into a power struggle. But Rayleigh got frustrated and forced through the clash with his sword, nearly aiming for Luffy's head. They both panted, pausing their fight. "Luffy-kun, I can still see that you are not going out fully with your power. Why hold it? Is it some form of mockery?" Rayleigh questioned. Luffy immediately shook his head. "No, I was warming up. I couldn't immediately access it considering it feels like this is the first time using Haki," Luffy said. "But now, I think I can do it. Let's fight again." Luffy brought his hand up to his mouth and bit into it. He started blowing into it, causing his body to inflate. Smoke covered the place as his body started to cover in Haki. Gear 4th. Bound Man. Gomu Gomu no. The smoke immediately cleared up, Luffy dashing forward with impossible speeds. Rayleigh brought his sword up to block the strike. It was more powerful than he expected. Kong Gun. Luffy's hands compressed like a spring, shot out into full length, increasing the power of the punch with the tension present in his hand. Rayleigh flew back several meters, crashing into several rocks before skidding into stop. He looked at Luffy, who was clad with red Haki, bouncing on his feet. A round halo made of smoke formed around his neck and black lightning traveled down and around his body. They clashed again, with Luffy using his Rhino Schneider move, which was blocked by an uppercut from Rayleigh. Now, Rayleigh not only used his sword, but also started using various techniques that he learnt during his travel, and his speed matched Luffy easily. They exchanged blows after blows, with both getting hit several times. Luffy was hit more than Rayleigh, which still meant that Luffy wasn't up to Rayleigh's full power yet. A strong punch on the mid from Rayleigh sent him back crashing into some trees. "TCH, it looks like this isn't going to be enough to match him. I think I had to use that," Luffy said. Rayleigh looked at him confused as to why he stopped, but then he felt it, an enormous spike in the aura. An interesting sound ringed through the battlefield. Sounds of drumming filled the air, power resonating with it. Rayleigh brought his sword up, a grin present on his face. He was excited to fight with something that held so much power. Smoke covered Luffy as his went through his transformation. As the smoke cleared, Rayleigh could see the transformation. It sent a wave of nostalgia upon him for some reason. He then realized it was something he read about in Laugh Tale. Gear 5th. His body was floating in air, his hair and eyebrows completely white. The previous smoke halo turned into fire, and it was swirling around him. His face etching a wide grin. It was similar to that of his captain. His expression was goofy, yet the power was not. Then his body moved. No, it blinked into existence before Rayleigh. His fist clashed into his sword and bent it into weird angles. Rayleigh's eye widened a bit, before he poured more Haki and fought with renewed vigor. They clashed again, Luffy's legs spinning like a pinwheel. They continued with their hits. The world around him were bouncing like castle, because of Luffy's power. But it could be seen that both are getting tired. Rayleigh then did something that was unexpected to Luffy. He brought his sword through an upper middle swing, but in the middle of the swing, he changed the tactics and hit Luffy with all his Haki in his head and continued with another hit with his leg, knocking him out. Luffy woke up after a while, the concussion on his head almost healed. It throbbed lightly, but he ignored it and sat upright. Rayleigh was sitting on a log opposite to him, cooking meat. His mouth drooled at the sight. Apparently, Rayleigh also noticed that he was awake and invited him to eat with him. He sat in front of him and started gulping down food at impossible speeds. After all, he was very tired with the sparring. "So, Luffy-kun, you were way better than what I thought you would be." Rayleigh started. "I thought you wouldn't know much, if anything at all, about hockey. Your records before the war also pointed out the same. I don't know how you learned about so quickly, not only that you also know advanced forms of it." Luffy just nodded. Rayleigh continued. "I am not sure what to make of it. Grand Line is a vast sea. I have seen a lot of things and experienced many. But I don't know how to classify you." Luffy agreed. He also felt weird about this. It felt that he knew how to fight like that. He felt like he experienced fighting and improving in the middle of the fight. That is also why it felt natural. Yet, for some reason, it didn't feel like he actually earned it. "My mind feels locked up. It is like I couldn't access some of it. If I think, my brain hurts," Luffy complained. "I am not entirely sure about why that is happening, but I am sure you will figure it out. But there is one thing I am sure from the fight," Rayleigh said. "Oh, what is it?" Luffy questioned. "I know that you devil fruit isn't Gomu Gomu no Mi. While you were knocked out, I thought about the devil fruits that I read in the book. I don't remember reading about Gomu Gomu no Mi. The grin and the heartbeat when you transformed into your Gear 5th was something else," Rayleigh said. Luffy felt confused. His entire life, he always thought this was Gomu Gomu no Mi. Sure, it wasn't the best power in the world, but he was content with it. But now, that heartbeat reminds me of something that I came across in my travels, but I think I will have to think a bit more about it before confirming, Rayleigh said. "So, should I not call my fruit Gomu Gomu no Mi?" Luffy asked. "You decide what you want to call your devil fruit. I'll try to find about the original name anyway. Meanwhile, let's talk about our training," Rayleigh said. Luffy sat straight. This was something that he came here for. To train and get stronger. "If I have to be honest, you have great strength. Enough to stand among the top, even in New World. There isn't much I can train you on about," Rayleigh said. Luffy felt a bit disappointed at that. He had an inkling that this would be the case. Luffy was a shrewd in observation, especially with power. He was reckless, not completely mindless. That doesn't mean there isn't anything to teach at all. You could learn basics of different fighting techniques that I know of. You could also learn to use a weapon. Especially a saber or a staff would be useful for your fighting style," Rayleigh mentioned. Luffy frowned at the mention of studies, but then lit up at fighting techniques. True, there were a lot of things that he still didn't know. Going about just jumping and relying on instincts is not going to help him always. He also had used bow staff during his early days. It always felt fitting, but later on, after Sabo's death, he didn't feel comfortable using it. Perhaps he could use it now. "Your hockey is good, but still could be improved. I reckon, by the time we end this training, you will be very powerful, only to be contested among the top players of the New World," Rayleigh said. Luffy nodded. That sounded very nice. If what it takes to protect his crew is to be the strongest in the world, he would do it. "Old man, wait." Luffy paused Rayleigh and ran up to the safest place in the island. He placed his hat in the vivre card that was given by Rayleigh. "Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Robin, Usopp, Chopper, Frankie, Brook. I promised to become much stronger, so that I could protect your dreams and reach our goals together," Luffy said. "It's a promise." He went back to Rayleigh and smiled. "Let's start, old man." "Yeah, it's Rayleigh-san. No, is it Master Rayleigh, or Professor Rayleigh?" "Whatever," Rayleigh said. And hence began the training of 2 years. It was pretty clear to Luffy soon that sparring and learning with Rayleigh was no joke. It was pretty hard, considering there was no breaks in between. There was a power difference at start, but Luffy's growth was very high. The gap soon started to get less. Luffy started to win more. He learnt the basics of Rokushiki. Even though he had the base knowledge of Soru, the rest were very useful to learn. His speeds in Gear 2 were very high, almost rivaling the speed of Kizaru. He also learnt various forms of martial arts, which included fishman karate. Manipulating the water molecules present in the air to achieve the desired effect was astonishing. He completed most of this in 2 months, which was surprising to Rayleigh. He locked his devil fruit powers with Sea Stone and forced him to use only physical strength with restriction in hockey for the next 2 months. Suffice to say, it felt like he came back to square one again. But his resistance to sea stone increased drastically. When the restriction for haki lifted, his haki felt much stronger. He concentrated on increasing his observation range and his future sight. This was also when Rayleigh dropped the truth about his devil fruit. Luffy-kun, after observing your gear 5th form for 2 months, I think I am sure about what it is, Rayleigh said. Luffy was pretty excited to learn the real name of his devil fruit. I think it is the Hito no Mi. Model Nika, Rayleigh said. It is a mythical zone devil fruit. Mythical zone, huh? That's so cool, Luffy gushed. Rayleigh continued, Luffy-kun, I know you hate knowing about the One Piece and treasures, so I won't spoil about it, but I know this is something you must know if you want to get strong. Luffy gulped. Yes, he didn't want to get spoiled, it would ruin his fun, but his desire to get strong was larger, so, he nodded. Every devil fruit has a will. It is the representation of people's belief. This fruit, by some impossible odds, fell into your hands. This was the fruit we learned while we learned about the true history of the world, Rayleigh said. Luffy listened with rapt attention. It represents the will of warrior of liberation, sun god Nika. Though the user's body gains the property of rubber in combat, it is only limited by the user's imagination. Meaning, it is only limited by your imagination. It is supposedly the most ridiculous power in the world. Saying Luffy was in awe would be an understatement. Imagine having a god as your fruit and having Recidique. Whatever power in the world, how cool is that? So that means, I can do whatever I want? Luffy questioned. I don't think you can do everything. There has to be some restrictions. But you won't be able to know unless you try it. Rayleigh winked. It was a huge revelation. If anyone got the wind of such fruit in existence, they would do anything to get their hands on it, but then not all could access its full power, not as it was mentioned in the diary of him. But if it was Luffy, he could do it. No, he will do it. He will become the embodiment of Joy Boy of the new eras soon. Not that Rayleigh would mention that name to Luffy. This chapter contains spoilers for film 3D2Y. Please proceed with caution. Back with another chapter. I hope you enjoy this. Also check the notes at the end of the chapter. Luffy's training was coming along spectacularly. His strength and power had increased exponentially. It was thanks to Rayleigh giving him clue about his devil fruit. His haki's power increased too. Increased would be an understatement, but it is what it is. His weapon, which was something surprising that he found it during his exploration in the ruins that was left behind by the previous settlement. Apparently, the weapon was the perfect conductor for his use. It could change its shape as it could conduct the power of Luffy's devil fruit. He trained it to use both as a staff and as a sword, but his sword usage was very preliminary, and he preferred to use his fists for the most part. He usually keeps as a bracelet which could be retrieved for use. It was around 10 months of training. The regular visits from maidens from Amazon Lily didn't stop. Hancock in particular visited Luffy very regularly and they talked for hours until someone had to remind them to stop. No one liked to do that job as not to incur the wrath of Pirate Empress, but they still did. Luffy was naturally a very social person with surprising depth in his knowledge. He usually is goofy and playful, but he was charismatic. His natural charisma and leadership skills flowed out of him in ease. While he was happy to talk to an experienced person like Rayleigh regularly, without someone else other than him to talk to for days was boring. That was why he enjoyed spending his time with Hancock and his sisters. Hancock stopped blushing every time Luffy mentioned her name, but she was still completely heels over him. Luffy was still completely oblivious to it, or it could have been that he had no interest in having romantical relationships right now. But that didn't deter him from enjoying the time together. The overflowing power from Luffy made them feel safe, like they are in a protective cocoon of embrace. They brought him all sorts of food during their visits. Safe to say Luffy awaited their visits every time. Somewhere else on the Grand Line near Amazon Lily, the seafloor rippled, and waves rose and clashed against each other. 4 marine ships were against a ship, which had submarine look on it. Storm brewed and rain started pouring. Pirates were attacking marines, bodies dropping on either side of the ship. Eventually the pirates got the upper hand and captured a marine ship, completely defeating the marines inside it, but it wasn't fast enough. TCH, you guys are slow. It took you so long to take down a marine ship." A deep voice rumbled. Pirates around him shivered. One of the braver ones stepped in front. What do you mean? We took down the marine ship pretty fast," he said, though if looked closely, he was shaking. "That was fast. You guys have no sense of time. Sebastian, Gairam, Knighton. Show them how it is done." The voice said again. It belonged to World Destroyer. Brindai World. A veteran pirate, who was deeply feared by the Marines. He had a bounty of $500 million Baileys. Due to the commotion caused by Luffy during the Marineford War in Impel Down, he was one of the criminals who escaped from the pits of hell, level 6 of Impel Down prison. As the captain ordered, all the three mentioned jumped up, while the younger brother of Captain, Bojack, started a stopwatch. Gairam dashed towards the marine ship, carrying his huge cube-shaped hammer. He landed on the ship to the left and swung his hammer in the mast of the ship while dodging several bullets and swings from the Marines. Being the shipwright of world pirates, he knew how to sink the ship pretty quick. He made the masts into cubes, which dropped down on several Marines, crushing them. He then dropped down to the spine of the ship, keel, and did the same. The whole ship broke down into several chunks of cube, dropping into oceans, carrying several Marines with it into the deep down. Knighton was a short elderly woman, but her age didn't determine her strength. She landed on the ship to the right and made quick work of all the Marines present on the deck with her quick and efficient hits. Sebastian was very huge, blue-colored skin, and had the features of a fishman. He wore sunglasses and his strength was probably the stronger out of the three. He shipped splinters of wood fly and hit the Marines close by, piercing them. He punched the ship right in the middle, splitting it into two. The ship started sinking and Marines fell overboard. All this happened in 30 seconds. Bojack clicked the stopwatch to stop. Brindai World nodded, impressed. He expected nothing less from his crew. He turned towards the sorry excuses of his remaining members. "Did you see that? That is exactly what I expect from my crew. If you couldn't do that, you can leave," he said. Some of the crew tried to leave but was shot in back by grains of sand enhanced 100 times by his devil fruit power. "I never said you would get out alive, though," Brindai World said, grinning. Others shivered and trembled in fear, laughing nervously. Luffy jumped as he dodged an attack from Rayleigh. His physical strength was increased drastically, to the point normal cuts from swords and punches without didn't even scratch his skin. His normal punches destroyed trees and stones into dust and splinters. Of course, Rayleigh's monstrous strength proved its worth as he could still keep up with Luffy. But ultimately Luffy was the one who won the fights most of the time. Luffy was currently training the range of his observation haki while fighting Rayleigh and trying to solve basic math. One would say fighting Rayleigh or training observation haki was the harder thing to do. But for Luffy, it was the math. Rayleigh was giving him monumental tasks of basic arithmetic operation. But he had no aptitude of any sort for studies. He gave up on that task and just concentrated on fighting. The fight soon ended with Luffy gaining the upper hand and took away Rayleigh's sword, and they both decided to stop the session. "So, Luffy-kun, what was the answer for the expression I gave?" Rayleigh asked. He already knew what Luffy would answer. "No idea. I tried to solve it, but it was too hard," Luffy said, no regret whatsoever present on his face. Rayleigh sighed. He should probably stop giving things to read to Luffy. The only thing Luffy absorbed like crazy was comics. He read all sort of comics and tried to replicate the things, which for a normal person would sound like a crazy idea. But with Luffy's devil fruit, there were many things that he could replicate. They had over 15 dozen comic books laid around the safe zone. Not that any animal dared to go near Luffy or any of his belongings. They were resting on the safe place when they both felt someone entering the island. Luffy got up and started running. It was a familiar presence. He was excited to meet her. But he couldn't sense her sisters or most of her crew. As he drew closer, he saw her standing in the place they regularly meet, impatiently waiting for him. She knew he had sensed her, like it happened every time. "Hancock, how are you?" Luffy shouted in joy. Hancock's face bloomed meeting her beloved. "I am so happy to meet you, Luffy," Hancock swooned. "Where are Sandersonia and Maria?" Luffy questioned. Hancock frowned. They were supposed to go ahead, as it took some time for Hancock to send a mail to world government and talk to the officials about her not coming to the fight for world government. A few hours earlier, Hancock was pacing in her room, waiting for everyone to finish the preparation to go to Rusukaina. It took about 6 hours to get to Rusukaina from Amazon Lily. As the preparation were complete, there was a flutter of sound. She looked around to see a bat flying in. It was pretty clear who sent it. It would be perhaps something about her monthly spending or pirated apprehended by her. She could probably ignore it and send it later. She saw the red stamp on it which got her attention. She got curious and opened it. It was a summon. Summon for her to fight against world pirates. She couldn't care less. She would ignore it and perhaps try to convince the authorities later. She had important job, which is to meet Luffy right now. But before she could tear the letter, Grandma Nyan stopped it. She and Hancock started to argue on about the issue of losing her warlord status if she continued to ignore world government's orders. Hancock ordered her sisters to go ahead and get Luffy his food, while she sends a reply to world government and then comes in a different ship. Hancock sent that she wouldn't be attending the fight due to her poor health conditions and then started her journey to Rusukaina. Back in the present, Rusukaina Island, they were supposed to come here before me. I had some work, so I finished it and then came in another ship, Hancock replied. If they did, I would have noticed it, but I couldn't sense them as far as I could. Luffy replied. His range was pretty impressive, covering as far as 100 nautical miles. Hancock wasn't too worried, as she trusted her crew to handle simple things. She opted to wait for them as she conversed with Luffy. As more than 2 hours crossed, she started to get nervous. Crazy things started to go through her mind. Luffy tried to distract her by telling her about various things, but he also felt uneasy about the situation. They both saw a ship coming in the horizon. As it drew closer, they realized it was the Kuja pirates' ship. It was battered and damaged very heavily. Hancock's nervousness increased when she saw the sorry state of her ship. As the ship anchored, a crewmate came out of the ship. They realized it was Marguerite. She was very heavily injured and bruised all over the place. Blood was flowing from various cuts over her body. She fell, breathing heavily. Hancock rushed to her side and lifted her head to keep in her lap. Even if Hancock was very demanding and arrogant as a captain, her caring nature equaled her might. Marguerite, what happened? Why are you so injured? Hancock inquired. Hancock-sama. They attacked us. They took Maria-sama and Sandersonia-sama as hostage, she replied, breathing heavily from exhaustion. Who are they? Who dared to touch our crew and think they could escape the wrath of me? Hancock raged. They called themselves world pirates. The captain was very powerful. Both tried to attack and defeat him, but they weren't powerful enough and got defeated. He wanted to tell yourself a message, she gasped out. What is the message? Hancock asked. Her rage was reaching peaks. Not only did that immiscible idiot dared to hurt her sisters and her crew but also took them hostage. Her conqueror's haki, which she usually keeps it under control, was lashing out due to her anger. But it didn't affect Luffy even a bit. Marguerite was sweating but she wasn't affected much. He said he would wait for you, since he wanted to show to the government that their warlords were no threat to him and that he would kill them if you didn't arrive within a day. She conveyed the message. Hancock's anger was simmering in surface. It would be a good opportunity for her to teach the world not to mess with her crew. But this would provide to be a bad decision on her part, if she knew. Let's go. We don't want to waste the time. I will enjoy my time killing that bastard. Hancock said, but before that, let's get you and others treated, she said. Rayleigh arrived by that time, and they explained the situation to him. The three started treating them with what basic medical knowledge they had. The crew's doctor, after some time of resting, took over the job with the three helping him. After 2 hours, they were ready to set sail again. Luffy, I am sorry that we have to cut our meeting short. I'll have to get back my sisters. I will definitely return, and we will spend more time together later. Hancock said. As much she hated to leave Luffy, she had no choice in this matter. She had to rescue her sisters. She could only hope Luffy would understand. What are you talking about? Luffy questioned. Hancock looked at him confused. I am coming with you. You aren't leaving alone. Definitely not with these guys injured so much. Luffy-kun, you said you won't leave the island until the training ends. Rayleigh voiced his opinion. Yes, but this is a very important issue. Air in danger. I cannot leave Hancock alone to rescue them, Luffy replied. Rayleigh sighed. There was nothing he could do to stop him from leaving. He would say to come back alive, but there wasn't much threat that was present in this part of the sea. Are you sure, Luffy? It was Hancock who questioned it. While she knew Luffy was very strong, stronger than herself, some part of her mind didn't want him to get involved and get hurt. I am sure, he replied with a huge grin on his face. They are my friends after all. Hancock was once again reminded why she fell in love with this man. His caring nature for his friends and family being one of many. They boarded the ship and started their journey towards the predestined coordinates. It took about 2 hours to reach there. While they were nearing the destination, two were having a fierce quarrel on the ship. I will fight, Luffy yelled. No, Luffy, you have to understand. I know you are very strong. But I want to do this myself. He issued a challenge to me directly. It would be demeaning my position as a queen of my subjects. If in case I need your help, I will call for you. I think I can handle this, so please let me do this. Luffy didn't like the argument, but if Hancock thought she could handle him, then he would let her. After all, it was her sisters that she wants to rescue. He would observe. If they were to be in danger, he would step in. No one will die on his watch today. They stopped at the destined coordinates, but nothing but the sea was visible as far as the eye could see. Hancock started to panic. But Luffy stayed calm and sharp. He had sensed several presences under the sea while they were about 10 minutes from the destination. The sea suddenly parted, sending water in either direction. Kuja's ship rocked back and forth as waves got frenzy. A massive ship rose out of the water. It had a big cannon to its front, and it was several decked, having a modern look to it. So, you came. Pirate Empress. Barororo. I can't wait to see you die in my hands. It will serve a good reminder to those marine dogs that they shouldn't underestimate us. World's voice sounded from the ship. His brother was standing near him, watching several screens. Where are my sisters? I swear you will die painfully if anything happens to them, Hancock shouted, her voice carrying the rage that was present. Sister, why did you come? Maria's voice sounded from the speaker. It is unsafe. You must go back. Our lives are not worth your risk. What the hell are you talking about? You guys are my sisters. I'll definitely save you, Hancock said. Don't say such things again. Just hold on. I'll come soon. Barororo, she thinks she could defeat us. How lame, World said to his brother. But his brother didn't reply. Rather, he was busy watching the screen. He spotted a young man, with a straw hat donning his head. He looked thin, but something about him screamed danger. Sebastian, she will come through you first. Don't make it too long. Finish her quick, World ordered. Yes, Captain. I'll finish in 2 minutes. Sebastian said, she doesn't look strong anyway. Hancock's vein twitched. She would enjoy making that fish suffer. She jumped up and landed on the deck of the other ship. Sebastian came out, puffing his muscles up, putting on a proud display. Hancock wasn't impressed. Mero mellow, she said, putting up a seducing display and trying to make him a stone. But Sebastian wasn't affected, as he didn't turn into stone like he is supposed to. Hancock paused it and looked at him. He was grinning like a fool. He took out his sunglasses. It could be seen that his eyes had 2 vertical scars, and his pupils were white, indicating he was blind. Boa Hancock's power primarily relied on her beauty. As the enemies produce the feeling of love and lust, they are susceptible to her fruit. It was also perhaps why the fruit was dangerous in her hands, as she was deemed as world's most beautiful woman. Sebastian rushed forward, hockey coating on his hands, and tried to punch Hancock on her head. But it was stopped midway by Hancock's raised foot. She applied barrist of hockey, which showed her physical prowess. She pushed him and started to attack him with her own advances. He lifted his canbow and dashed towards her, but she dodged and tried to hit him. Camouflage, Sebastian vanished in air, leaving behind a mirage of himself. Hancock was surprised. Sebastian appeared in air behind her and swung his arm towards her. She was too late to protect fully. She held her hands in front of her in a crossed position and received the attack head-on. She flew towards the main deck, breaking the wall, and fell on the floor. But she recovered pretty quick. Sebastian clicked his tongue. Time was running and she was proving to be a tough opponent. He jumped in air and ducked in his body, He started to spin midair, similar to a wheel, and advanced towards Hancock. Hancock stood. Her anger was barely held. Her legs covered fully in armament, shine reflecting the sunlight. Perfume femur. Magna, her leg crashed with his head, breaking his skull and sending him flying towards the window through which World was watching. He looked a bit shocked that she defeated Sebastian. "I am disappointed in you, Sebastian," he said as he watched his body fall down the cliff onto the deck. "Just wait, World, I'll come for you," Hancock's voice rumbled. World just laughed, uncaringly. While this was going on, a few parties were watching from afar. There were 3 marine ships standing at the distance, watching the fight and relaying the information to Navy HQ. Another party was sitting in a coffin-shaped boat, watching the scene with disinterest. One more was watching from a boat, closer to the ship of World. It was the ship of Warlord, Buggy. Buggy-sama, Pirate Empress seems to be fighting the World Pirates. A crew member relayed the message. Buggy was observing the fight with a binocular. He was a coward who didn't want to get dragged into a fight with someone who was a very powerful pirate during the times of Roger. That was his logical mind said. But the greedy part of his mind thought of another plan. He wanted to take credit for the fight that the Empress was fighting, forgetting that the Marines were already relaying live messages to the HQ. He ordered his crew to slowly creep up to the World's ship. Hancock rushed inside the ship. There were various tunnels inside, which was confusing her. She was eventually led to a room, her senses overpowered by the smell of medicinal herbs. She looked around to see if someone was present. She spotted an old-looking woman, but her observation flared warning, telling the woman was not easy to deal with. Knighton heard Hancock entering her room and turned to face her. "Haha, welcome Pirate Empress. It's true. Your beauty is unparalleled as they say," she started. "However, I have cracked the secret to your power. You won't be able to petrify me," she boasted. Hancock just listened, not replying. Eventually Knighton got frustrated. Hancock raised her hands and fired her mellow beams. Knighton immediately turned around and gulped down a bunch of what looked like a mix of medicinal herbs and leaves. She immediately started coughing and gagging. But she was surprisingly left untouched by the mellow beam as her focus wasn't on Hancock. She just raised her eyebrows at the weird strategy to escape from her powers. "See, I have not turned into stone. My secret recipe worked. When I eat that medicinal concoction, it overrides my lust on you, hence negating the effect of your fruit," she laughed. "It must be awful for world government to have someone like you as a warlord. Move. I have to get to my sisters," Hancock commanded. But Knighton just laughed. She drank a green-looking liquid and sprayed it all over Hancock, making the clothes burn away due to some acidic reaction, leaving various parts of Hancock visible. "You must be so embarrassed to move now. I'll defeat you. I am the Kenpo master." Knighton laughed confidently. She drank another liquid which made her look younger. She started attacking her with her legs. But Hancock just dodged everything. Pistol kiss. Hancock shot a heart-shaped bullet at Knighton, forcing her to use herbs as a shield. She smirked as the Pirate Empress's attack didn't work. "I am as strong and attractive as you," Knighton said boastfully. "Then could you do me a favor?" Hancock asked, her face morphing a cute pose. Knighton blushed storm at that sight. "Please shut your bloody mouth." Knighton realized and started eating so many herbs. But she couldn't resist Hancock. No matter how much she tried, she was too attracted by Hancock and finally vomited all the stuff she ate. "She is so beautiful," Knighton started to murmur as she started at Hancock. Marrow mellow. Hancock used her devil fruit and petrified Knighton, ending their fight. "TCH, another useless crewmate. I am going to finish her on my own," World said as he exited the room, ignoring his brother's protests. Buggy entered a weird room, where he was cornered by Gairam. They were doing useless banters, Buggy trying to defuse the situation while his crewmates trying to escalate and boast their captain into fighting the guy. The situation got out of hand as the huge guy swung his hammer on Buggy, converting him into a cube. He then tried to hit Buggy several other times, but Buggy somehow managed to dodge it and returned to his original form, though his body parts were scattered across the room. The first thought that came to his mind was to run away, but the cheering from his crew gave a boost to his ego and he went straight into the battle. He shot a miniature version of Buggy Ball from the heel of his shoe. It combined with the compressed cube of air and caused a massive explosion along with smoke rising from all the sides. This was the exact moment Hancock entered into the room. She didn't waste any time as she proceeded to kick Gairam and turn him into stone, instantly taking the enemy's distraction to her advantage. As the smoke cleared, Buggy's crewmates saw Gairam lying on the floor and Buggy standing victoriously. All they could think was to cheer him. They neither noticed the gray-colored stone formation on his body as he was lying on his face down, nor they noticed Pirate Empress getting out into another corridor. It was interesting that they had more focus on Buggy compared to the most beautiful on the planet. Hancock panted as she stood in a room that was dark, with spikes along the wall. She saw the cage that was present at the top, which held her two sisters. Her anger spiked again at the beaten and bruised state they were in. She desperately wanted to go and get them free. But she couldn't, as the obstacle which was the sole cause of this whole issue stood in front of her. World was standing in front of her, laughing like a maniac. He was an imposing figure, with large arms and tiny legs. He wore a horned helmet and chains around his chest. "I have been waiting for you, Pirate Empress Boa Hancock. It's true that you are beautiful. Well, it would be a sad thing to hurt such a pretty body," he said with a smirk. Hancock raged. It was a look she hated to see on men. "Shut up, I am going to make you regret touching my sisters," Hancock yelled and dashed forward. She covered her leg with powerful haki and tried to kick him. But World vanished and dodged the kick. Hancock's eyes widened. "He's fast," she felt his presence behind her. As she turned, he was already closing in. She crossed her arms and covered with haki, but she underestimated his strength. More. 100-fold punch. His punch was very powerful. As she was launched back into the wall, she heard a pop as her shoulders dislocated and her forearm bone broke. She cried in pain. World's laugh sounded in her ears. She gritted her teeth to prevent herself from giving that man any more satisfaction. She slowly stood up and focused. She could hear the cries of her sister. But she couldn't lose here. Their life is on the line. One arm hung on side as she had no way to control it right now. She applied armament and rocketed forward. They both clashed again and again. But it was clear that World had the upper hand, being an experienced fighter. Hancock's devil fruit wasn't of much help as he blocked much of it with his haki. They both stopped. Hancock was breathing very heavily. While World still looked fine, with only tiny scratches, Hancock had major bruises and bleeding heavily. She started feeling dizzy. She had underestimated her opponent. Or it was perhaps her overconfidence in her abilities as well as the fact many men fell in her love-lust trap. She subconsciously knew it was both, but mostly the later. She hated herself for that. She geared up for one last hit, mustering up all her haki and focused on her leg. She went for a kick to his head, hoping to knock him out. But World dodged it very easily and punched her heavily in her stomach, making her cough out blood and fall to the ground. She was barely conscious. She could see the dreadful and pale faces of her sisters. She had failed to save them. She could also feel the lustful gaze of World. She was lying on her stomach. She tried to feel the cloth on her, but she couldn't. She looked up to see World's widened eyes. He had seen them. He had seen the slave marks on her back. One thing she wanted none to see. That she would die before someone sees them. But right now, someone saw them. She could already feel so many malicious intentions brewing from his mind. He was saying something, yet nothing reached her ears. She was hyperventilating. She wanted to die. It felt so wrong. All the training, all the hard work she put in was so that she would not be in a vulnerable position like this again. She wanted to erase her past. She did not want to be taken advantage again, but here she was. She had failed both of her sisters and herself. She could only hope they didn't hate her and forgive her for the failure. She saw World clench his fists. Perhaps he would knock her out and have his way with her. She closed her eyes as World's hand drew closer. Tears flowed from eyes freely as she awaited the attack, but it never came. She bleakly opened her eyes to see someone she loved. Monkey D. Luffy was holding her in a bridal carry, far away from where World attacked. His face had a serious look, but the moment his eyes laid on her, it softened. He had understood, perhaps. She looked at him, her eyes telling him to kill her. But her heart was not. It wanted to live. It wanted to be free from shackles. It wanted to run away from all this and just be one with sea. It was perhaps one other thing she had in common with the straw-hatted man. He laid her down softly before removing his vest, showing of his amazing chest and abs. But she wasn't focused on that. She only concentrated on his face, on his eyes. It held so much depth and it continued to have much more. He put the vest on her, covering her body. "You are too stubborn for your own good," he said. His voice was soft, so understanding. "It is not bad to call for help. I am your friend." He smiled. It looked so bright to her. It was akin to a god looking on her. Luffy's usual goofy self was gone. Now it felt serene, compassionate. "Don't lose your will too early. You are not going to die so easily. You have to live more, live freely. Branding doesn't matter. They can't touch you again. Not with me here. They have to kill me in order to reach you." She didn't realize she was crying until he wiped it with his hands. "Don't worry. Nothing is going to happen to them. Rest now. You have done your part. Leave it to me." He spoke. And she would. She trusted him. Trusted him with her life, now and forever. She closed her eyes with a small smile on her lips. As she closed her eyes, Luffy's entire demeanor changed. Gone was the serene, young man. Now what stood was a monster. The straw hat covered his eyes. Suddenly the pressure around them dropped and the temperatures went cold. A massive presence filled the place and several miles around them. World started sweating heavily from the pressure filling the room, and even if the Tempe's body was hot. The figure on the coffin-shaped boat snapped his eyes open at the presence. It was powerful. Very powerful and very familiar. He had felt it during Marineford. But now it is on a whole new level. A small smirk played on his lips. He thought he would have to interfere. But now it seems there was no need. Perhaps he could return to his home and increase the training. At this pace, their captain is going to leave them all behind and go very ahead. World was nervous. Fear and dread filled him as he felt the huge presence from the straw-hatted man. Who are you?" he said, kicking himself mentally for stuttering. Black and red lightning started dancing around him. "My name is Monkey D. Luffy. I am going to be the king of pirates." World's younger brother, Bojack, entered the room. "World. I have heard about him. He is the brat that was responsible for breakdown of Impelled Down, and he fought in Marineford to save his brother Portgas d'Ace." "Oh, so, he is the one who failed to save his brother?" World said. One part of his mind screamed at him for taunting the opponent, who certainly is very strong, but he ignored it. "Yes," Luffy replied, no emotion present in his voice. "I couldn't save my brother. But now I have precious friends and family to protect. That is why you will die here," he said. Maria and Sandersonia sucked in breath as they heard the dark tone of Luffy. "Oh, don't get too overconfident, brat," World yelled as he charged at Luffy with armament present in his hand. More. Hundredfold Gatling punches rained down on Luffy. Yet he dodged it all with minimal movement. He looked bored. World stopped his punches and got behind Luffy to kick him. But Luffy stopped it with just his hand, no armament present. World's eye widened at the power display. His physical strength was monstrous, enough to stop his hundredfold kick with just his hand. "Are you done?" It was the same emotionless voice that he spoke with. World's anger spiked and he started to go crazy with his attacks. But none fazed Luffy. "All right, it is time to end this," Luffy said. He drew back his hand and pulled. Gomu no. Luffy's hands caught in fire. The air around superheated, and it rotated around the fire in the shape of tornado. Red Hawk. Luffy's hand snapped forward at superhuman speeds that World couldn't even see it coming. World's eye widened when he looked behind the straw hat at Luffy's eyes. It was burning with fire, giving it a golden red color. It was impressive and terrifying to look at. But he didn't have enough time to look at that as he was hit with the punch which caused his insides to burn. Luffy's punch hit him in the sternum and ribs, piercing the lung and heart. He rocketed backward and the spikes along the fall punched holes into him further. His brother yelled and cried in despair. He tried to attack Luffy, but his frail body couldn't even scratch him. Luffy just jumped up and broke the cage that held Maria and Sandersonia and caught them before landing safely. He felt the ship being attacked from marine ships outside. He motioned Sandersonia and Maria to escape the boat as he carried Hancock. They all arrived safely at the Kuja's boat, and the crew doctor immediately started treating Hancock and the sisters. Luffy was unharmed, but he was strangely silent. He looked at it. It had black swirling with gray linings. He found it when he was training in sea with the Sea Kings. One of them just randomly dropped, which strangely felt weird as he never had seen anything like that. He knew what it was, as he had eaten similar one before. But this felt different. It was attracting him to eat it. He felt strange connection with it. He didn't understand. During the fight between Hancock and World Marine Headquarters. Oh, so Buggy and Hancock are fighting world pirates? A Marine soldier commented as he talked through the Den Den Mushi. He was receiving the news on World's fight against Hancock, who sent her unwillingness towards joining the fight as a World, which was surprising and confusing. Her sister's hostage. Marine received more reports. The people currently available at the headquarters was one Vice Admiral, who was the only one who could order them on further situation. A Marine ran towards the Vice Admiral's office and knocked the door politely. He heard a "come in" and opened the door. He was a tall, light-skinned, lean, yet muscular man with short dark hair, a beard, sideburns, and sunglasses. He had a spoon sticking to his cheek, which was comical, yet his expression remained neutral. The Marine saluted the Vice Admiral, getting a nod back. "What is it?" he asked. "Vice Admiral Virgo, we have received reports on Pirate Empress Boa Hancock engaging in a fight with world pirates." Virgo was a Vice Admiral and head of G5 branch of Navy. He was also secretly a member of Don Quixote Pirates. "Why did she choose to fight him? Didn't we receive a letter of her unwillingness to participate previously if I am not wrong?" Virgo asked. World was a dangerous pirate. He was in the level 6 of Impelled Down, before escaping the chaos that happened during Marineford War. It didn't make sense why Hancock wanted to fight World suddenly. They said that they heard World talking about taking Hancock's sisters as hostage, the Marine said. "Ah, that would explain why she is fighting." While Virgo had no personal vendetta against Hancock, her attitude towards his captain infuriated him. And he was sure she would never be one that would willingly join their new era of pirates. She could only prove to be a thorn later. He didn't think someone like Hancock could defeat World. It was a set case. But World might be distracted by their fights that they wouldn't notice Marine ships firing at them and sinking them. It would be a two-win at one stone. They could also make the Kuja pirates subordinate of Don Quixote pirates by saving the crew. Prepare to fire at the ship. World must be defeated at all costs, Virgo ordered. The Marine hesitated. "But sir, what about Hancock and her sisters?" he asked. "Are you questioning my orders? I am sure they might escape from the attack. We must hit World when he is distracted," Virgo said. The Marine, sufficiently intimidated, immediately ran away and conveyed the order. "What? We are supposed to fire at them? Are you sure that's the order?" the Marine commander on the warship asked. "Yes, that is the order from Vice Admiral Virgo." "All right, we will do it." While the Marine commander was sad to see such beauty die, she was pirate at the end of the day. "Men, prepare the cannons." As the Marines fired, obliterating the ship that was in front of them, one involved was watching clearly, so clearly what could have happened if she was in that ship any longer. They wouldn't hesitate. They were world government's lackeys after all. As the ship slowly sailed back to Rusukaina, Luffy was outside, watching as the wave hits the ship and rocking side to side. He was no stranger to killing. While he never willingly killed anyone till now, he has hit several Marines on the spots which was instant kill. He just never looked back on them. But he actively involved in not hitting those he actually fought, which showed his willpower to hold back. He desperately wanted to kill people like Arlong, Lucci and that Tenryubito. But the temptation was always overcome by him. But this time, it went out of control, and he actually killed someone. Was it perhaps because the guy saw what is on Hancock's back? Or was it because it was him that was strangely feeling his bloodlust out of control? He didn't know. He wasn't much smart, but his feelings were always on place. His intuition pointed out that he was feeling something off, that he was forgetting something. He didn't know what it was. He wasn't going to whack his brain on it now, but he would find about it eventually. "Luffy-sama, Hancock-sama wants to meet you," a Kuja pirate said. "All right, I will be there," Luffy replied with a smile. When Luffy entered her room, Sandersonia and Maria was sitting near the bed, all bandaged up, Hancock was lying on the bed. She also was bandaged in various places. Her face was pale and tear tracks were visible on her cheeks, which indicated she was crying. "Yo, Hancock, Sandersonia, Maria. How are you guys feeling?" Luffy asked. "I am feeling good, Luffy," Sandersonia said. "Same here," came from Maria. "I am feeling good in terms of physical health, Luffy," Hancock said, blush spreading across her cheeks. She, that's nice to hear. So, you wanted to meet me?" he asked. Hancock's face dulled. It was the same with her sisters. "Yes, first, I wanted to thank you for saving my sisters and my life," Hancock said earnestly. "Yes, thank you, Luffy," the sisters echoed. "What are you saying about? We are friends. Of course, I will help," he said laughing. "Is that so? I am happy to hear it." Hancock smiled. "I put my pride before my sisters, and it cost me. I should have been more aware about fighting such monster, but I underestimated him and overestimated my ability. At this rate, I won't be able to protect anyone. Hence why I have a request to ask you," Hancock said, bowing her head. "Huh?" Luffy tilted his head sideways. "What is it?" The ship reached Rusukaina, and they saw Rayleigh waiting on the shore. Luffy eagerly jumped towards him. Hancock's sisters also came out. "Sandersonia, Maria. How do you feel?" Rayleigh asked. "We feel fine, Rayleigh-san," Maria replied. "That's good to hear," he replied. "Rayleigh, let us continue the training," Luffy yelled enthusiastically. Yes. Rayleigh replied laughing. "Marine headquarters. Did you receive any information on who died on the ship?" Vice Admiral Virgo asked. "We received the word that World died. His body was confirmed in the wrecks. But we couldn't confirm the death of Pirate Empress," the Marine informed. How peculiar," Virgo said. "Did she escape? Or did she die so brutally that her body parts couldn't have found?" Virgo didn't know. "Okay. I will inform the higher-ups about this. Do not mention anything about the potential death of Pirate Empress. Let's just inform that she disappeared after fight," Virgo ordered. "What should I do about it, Rayleigh?" Luffy asked. "You say you feel like it's calling to you?" Rayleigh asked, raising his eyebrows. "Yes. I don't know why, but it's weird that I feel that." Normally I would say don't eat, but I will leave it up to your decision," Rayleigh said. Luffy looked at it for a few seconds before shoving it into his mouth fully. He then realized it was a bad idea as the awful taste made him gag. Then his entire body lit up in fire. Rayleigh, alarmed, jumped back into a safe distance to watch what was happening. This could very well kill his prodigy and there would be nothing he could do to save him. A primal scream tore from Luffy's throat and he felt his entire body in pain. Luffy's hair turned white and danced like flames. Luffy's eyes were white as the scream continued. Rayleigh's eyes widened as the white flames from Luffy's hair rose up to hide and another flame also rose up. But this was in complete contrast to the first flame. This was the blackest of blacks and it battled with the white flames. The area around him was destroyed and half of Luffy's body was complete opposite to the other. Images flashed in Luffy's mind, images of him returning from the 2 years break, meeting his crew, Fishman Island. The images stopped. He found himself in his mindscape. It was a room with half the side painted black and the other completely white. He sat up, thinking about the images he just felt. He didn't know why he saw them. Was it the future? Was it past? Was it just imaginary? What was the fruit he just ate? Luffy didn't that aloud. The information flowed into his mind, causing his eyes to widen like crazy. He could feel that this is going to change how he behave. Before he could ask more questions, he felt himself falling into a void. He tried to grab onto something, but he couldn't. He closed his eyes, falling into the darkness. Rayleigh could see the black flame and white flame joined together instead of fighting each other. Luffy's scream stopped, and he started to float in air. The flames rotated fast around each other. It was beautiful to see. Rayleigh thought he saw scales on Luffy's body before it disappeared. Luffy's body grew a bit. His muscles become big until it ripped of his current vest. His thigh and leg also become more stronger by look. After what felt like hours, but only 2 minutes, Luffy fell onto the ground, breathing heavily. Rayleigh ran towards his protege. "Luffy-kun, are you alright?" Rayleigh's concern was evident on his voice. Luffy coughed a few times. The gag taste still presents on his mouth. He fuzzily opened his eyes. Rayleigh stifled a gasp on looking his eyes. It was no longer just black. It contained a golden ring around his iris, with black filling it. The golden ring felt like molten lava flowing inside his eyes, and the white and black parts looked like flames dancing around and heating the lava. Yes, Rayleigh. His voice was hoarse but was broader than usual, just a bit tired. Thank God. Rayleigh breathed a sigh of relief. I am going to sleep for some time, Luffy said. Before Rayleigh could reply, Luffy was out cold. Rayleigh's sweat dropped. How does he do that? How could he sleep so fast? He questioned himself. After 10 hours of sleep, Luffy finally found himself awake. He looked around, but his nose was attacked by the smell of meat getting cooked. He got up and ran towards that location. Rayleigh, can I have some? Luffy spotted the man cooking the meat. Rayleigh just laughed out loud. Of course. I still don't know how you sense the food getting cooked while you sleep, he said. She. Luffy laughed while grabbing a big piece of meat and started eating it. So, how do you feel now? Do you feel anything different? Rayleigh asked. I feel fine. I also feel much more powerful, which I know why, Luffy said. Oh, did you come to know what fruit it was? Rayleigh asked. Yes. It is the. Luffy revealed the name of the fruit and its powers on a base level. Rayleigh's eyes were as wide as saucers. It was the fact that the original fruit of Luffy held unimaginable power, but combined with this, it would be unstoppable. This was on its own very powerful. If Luffy could train himself to access it his will, there would be very few who would be able to match Luffy on a fight. Very doubtful that anyone could win. Do you realize the potential you have in your body? Rayleigh asked. Yes. I have to train so much, else I might harm my own friends and family, Luffy replied. Then, let's not waste any more time and start with it already, Rayleigh said. Luffy jumped up excited for a spar as always. Revolutionary headquarters, Baltigo. What? So, World got defeated by him? How sure are you? Our marine spies said a different story, a revolutionary asked. We are very sure. While the ships were busy on focusing on the world's ship, we silently infiltrated the ship and witnessed the whole thing at live, the other person replied. Alright, I will convey this to Dragon-san. The revolutionary went towards Dragon's cabin and knocked twice before entering. But he couldn't find their leader, but he spotted Nico Robin reading some files there. She turned towards the revolutionary. Sorry to disturb you, but is Dragon-san available? He asked. He just went out for some work. Is there anything important to inform him? Robin asked. It is not important, but I think he might want to know about this, the revolutionary said. If so, you can tell me. I will inform him when he returns, Robin replied. Okay, sure. I think you might also want to know as it involves Straw Hat Luffy, the revolutionary said, gaining Robin's interest. He then proceeded to convey the events of fight between Luffy and World. I will inform this to Dragon-san. You may leave, Robin said. The revolutionary nodded and left. You grew so much within such quick time, huh? I guess I have to ramp up my training, Robin thought to herself. Somewhere in paradise, is that so? Straw Hat Boy did that? A voice replied. Yes, I see. Thank you for the information. He cut the call. Tell him I called him here, he ordered one of his maidens. You grew so much in this short time? I see the dragon's blood is very strong after all, he thought to himself. It was time to increase the training. Another 6 months ran by quickly. Luffy's progress increased exponentially. Rayleigh won barely any fight anymore. It was on an odd chance that Luffy's handicap was so high that he couldn't function well. Did Rayleigh had any chances of beating him? Rayleigh was sure Luffy would beat him even in his prime at this stage. The New World monsters were at a huge level, but Luffy now could match them easily. There was around 10 months left before the 2-year ends. There was nothing that's left for Rayleigh to teach. Luffy was sufficiently powerful to face anything that will be thrown in his way. It was up to Luffy to decide what to do for the next 10 months. So, Rayleigh, you are leaving? Luffy asked while biting through a piece of meat. Yes, there is nothing left for me to do here. I will be returning to Sabaody. I will await your return in 10 months, he spoke. Done. We will meet again in 10 months then, Luffy said, smiling widely. What do you plan on doing? Rayleigh asked. I think I will be traveling back and forth to Amazon Lily often. I have a request to fulfill there. I will also be training my other devil fruit as much as possible. It can still be erratic, and it has changed my emotions a lot already. I want to be in control as much as possible, Luffy replied. Oh, I see. Then good luck. We will meet again. Rayleigh waved his goodbye and swam away. Okay then. I guess I will wait till Hancock comes to meet me again, he said and promptly went to sleep. Hancock, are you sure you want me to do this? He asked. Yes, Luffy. You are the only one who I'd trust with this, and also, you are much more powerful than anyone present on this island. There is no one else in better position than you, Hancock said. Flashback, hence why I have a request I have to ask you, Hancock said, bowing her head. Huh? Luffy tilted his head sideways. What is it? I want you to be our sparring partner, Hancock said. What? Me as sparring partner? Luffy asked. Yes. You're the only one who I'd trust for that. Others might try to take advantage of it. But I know you will never do like that. So please do this, Hancock asked. Huh. Okay, sure. Luffy said. Hancock slowly rubbed the tears out of her eyes and smiled. Flashback ends. Alright then. Come at me, Luffy said, his hand getting a black coating. Hancock grinned and charged. Luffy, it is time. The ship is waiting for you, Marguerite yelled. Yeah, I'm coming. Luffy said. He walked towards the big tree, at the foot of which was his hat and the vivre card. Man, has it been 2 years already? He said to himself, looking at the hat. He grabbed it and walked towards Marguerite. Marguerite loaded her bow and drew it towards the 3 huge animals that looked intimidating. They were slowly approaching her with drool dropping from their mouth. Oi! Luffy's strong voice rumbled. Watch it. She is my friend. A glare and those animals were subdued, falling at the feet intimidated. Amazing, he is like the king of the jungle, Maria commented. And my king as well. Hancock swooned. Marguerite breathed a sigh. Luffy, ship is ready to sail at any moment. Okay, thanks, he said and walked towards the animals. I became friends with these guys. So, I couldn't eat them. They look so delicious though, he said, salivating at the thought of eating them. The LL wine. Don't worry Luffy. We have plenty of food at our ship. Hancock said. This might make me a thoughtful wife in our future. I don't think I am going to get married, but thank you for the food, Luffy replied. Ah, I can't stop loving you even though you are so bitter, she cried. Rayleigh left this island almost 10 months ago. He must be waiting for you at Sabaody to meet you. Yes, he had taught me everything he could within that period. Luffy replied. He was wearing a blue vest which exposed his arms and abs. He was around 6 feet 7 in height. He wore a blue trouser, his calves visible. He had black coat donned on his shoulders with golden trimmings. It was fluttering, giving him a strong and intimidating look. Many Kuja pirates had pink cheeks but covered it in order to not face their empress's wrath. Alright, let's go, Luffy said, putting his hat on his head completing his look. Luffy, before that, I have a request for you, Hancock said. What is it? He asked. I want to join your crew, she replied. Luffy yelled. She was afraid. She was afraid of his refusal. They bonded close together during the training. It has though nothing but increased her love for him. She knew he didn't really think of romantic interests now. But she also knew that wasn't the real reason why she wanted to travel with him. She realized months ago that there was a dream. A dream she buried within the depths of her mind when she was enslaved. Then her dream was to only become free from the hellhole that she was in. When she was freed, she became the queen of her land. Her people became important. She buried it deep under the piles of other things. She had been in fights before, but thanks to her unnatural physical power or her expertise in her hockey, or the most important of all, her devil fruit and her beauty made it possible to escape the fights without major injuries. But perhaps for the first time when she actually was close to death, it made her regret. While she didn't regret the fact that she lived for and with her people, she regretted that she never gave her dream a chance. Perhaps it was the fear of getting captured, and letting the world know that she was a former slave of the world government. She didn't know how her people would treat her if that truth came out. She knew that was a scar that would never heal. Also, there is also that her kingdom might not be safe when she travels. But now, she is sure that there is Factor that is going to be a major power in the world. She was sure that the Factor will protect her island. Her Her sisters also grew up to be a major reckoning force. Their spars with him have improved their abilities to such extent that it will be safe to leave the island in their hands for now. Her reasons to skip on her dream had suddenly vanished. The new vigor to explore the world had born anew in her heart. The call of sea was too much for her to ignore anymore. She knew she has to do it. Her dream of exploring the vast seas beyond the paradise. But it was all possible because of one man. From his entry into her world till now, it has always been chaotic. Yet she learned to like it, she has come to love it. He was a stranger, then he was barely an acquaintance. But that turned very quick into love. At first it was something she was stranger to, even though having a literal fruit named on it. The more she spent her time with him, the more she realized what it was. At first it was just a crush, which she realized later on how idiotic she behaved. But safe to say, she truly loved him now. His strength surpassed hers by several magnitude. His natural charisma attracted everyone and all. He was a captain. His leadership skills were nothing but the top. And moreover, he was kind. Kind to those who were his friends and family. He saved her when she was at the lowest of her life. Now she would gladly serve someone whom she is ready to dedicate her entire life to and trust her kingdom with her sisters. Sure, but why suddenly? Luffy's voice broke through her musings. Hancock's face gained a beautiful smile and she wanted to jump around in joy. I want to explore the world. It has always been my dream to do so. And what better way to do it other than being on the side of the future Pirate King? Hancock said, grinning. Luffy laughed at that. What about your crew and your kingdom? Luffy inquired. They will be fine. My sisters are strong enough to handle most of the things thrown at them for now. The marine power is less at paradise now and they are focused more on the new world. If it is very important, I hope you will let me handle it, Hancock asked. She. Don't worry. I won't let anyone hurt this island. After all, this is one of my crewmates' homeland and it has my friends, hence I will protect it. Luffy's golden ring in his orbs burned with determination. His black coat fluttered in air, perhaps indicating his will has been heard and acknowledged. Tears flowed from her eyes at the promise. Hancock was beyond ecstatic at the declaration. She learned the truth behind the devil fruits of his during their time training. She had already witnessed the power behind of one transformation. Now, that the will of a god has been acknowledged, she only feels pity for the future opponents, maybe. Sister, are you sure about this? Maria asked. They have already talked about this. They were sad that their sister was going. She was happy about the fact that she is going to follow her dream. Yes, I am sure. I trust you guys to take care of the island, Hancock said, smiling. The sisters nodded. They would promise her that. They wouldn't have to intimidate. Not that they could. Luffy into taking care of their sister, they already know she is in the best hands. Salome wrapped around her as she rested her hand. Then Luffy, let's board the ship and go to Sabaody. Sure, let's go, Luffy replied, excited. He couldn't wait to see how much everyone has grown. Sun shined, though most of it was stopped by the thick canopy of branches covering the islands. The lumps of islands were covered in flush green grasses. The roots of the trees running deep into the land, producing bubbles through its perspiration. The bubbles rose up higher into the atmosphere and popped. The sound vibrated as a figure slowly walked towards an uphill. Sounds of sword hilts hitting each other, reverberating as he walked. Shaki's rip-off bar, it has been 2 years. It went fast now that I think about it. Shaki commented as she served a drink to her husband. I can't wait to see how much they have grown in these 2 years. Don't be hasty, Rayleigh said. We don't even know if they all can get together safely first. They are very infamous throughout the world now. The sound of door opening was heard by them. Rayleigh didn't look up and continued drinking his drink, but his face gained a surprised look. Oh, you are the first one to arrive here, he commented. The swordsman at the door grinned. What? No one arrived yet, he spoke, they never change. At a certain bar, pirates who have survived and beaten their way through have started gathering here in the droves again. The arrival of Kid Drake and the rest 2 years ago was exciting. Now that the generation is making its waves in the new world, I also want to do that. But there are only a few rookies who have their bounties above 100 million. A pirate was talking to his comrades as he was drinking. It is pretty surprising considering after that way, there was none who heard from them. The Straw Hat Pirates who everyone thought was dead appeared suddenly on this island. And not only that, but they also plan on recruiting. They plan to expand their crew and go wild in the new world, he said excitedly. Maybe I should also apply for it, he said, holding out a poster which had the crossbones of the Straw Hats and a text which said that it is recruiting. Don't be a fool, another guy reprimanded. It clearly says people who have bounties over 100 million only. A woman perked up at the mention of Straw Hats but didn't show any more reaction. He location of the Marine HQ, the barkeeper said, gaining the attention of the women. You know where it is. Is it at Marineford, which is next to this place? She asked. They had switched its position with the G1 branch which was on the next side of the Red Line. This was the decision of the new fleet admiral, who replaced Sengoku. He wanted the HQ to be on the Sea of the Four Emperors. Thanks to that, the threat of HQ was removed and the number of lawless areas in this island has risen. It is too dangerous to roam outside alone, he said, sighing. So, that's why. I thought this place seemed wilder and rougher when compared 2 years ago, she said. She was Nami, the navigator of the Straw Hat Pirates. Huh, did I mishear, or you said it wrong? A rough voice bellowed out in the bar. A measly 55 million bounty? A scream was heard as a gun was shot on a pirate's leg. Go back and read the poster clearly. I said 75 million at the least, he said. He was the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates. Monkey D. Luffy. This was a fake imitation of the real ones, though assuming the position as the original one was assumed dead. How merciless, Straw Hat Luffy, someone in the bar commented, sweating from the fear. It's no use, they have a history of achievements. The pirate was shot dead on the forehead again by him. Hey Frankie, how many people have showed up so far? He asked, sitting back on the couch. About 1,000, and over 6 whole pirate groups have joined us completely, including 50 people with bounties, Frankie said. And 2 of them are rookies who have made names for themselves, having bounties over 100 million. They are famous for killing marines, wet hair caribou, and blood splatter, caribou, he said. They are brothers each of bounties, 210 million and 190 million. They are going to come in handy. Luffy laughed. The others in his crew with him also laughed. We will keep gathering more too, he said. Hey old man, bring me the most expensive sake you have. He then spotted Nami, and the woman who has been sitting over there. You look you are lonely by sitting and drinking all alone. Come over here, he said, licking his lips. That's a fine one, he thought. No thank you, she rejected, having no interest in even glancing at the direction of those imitating fools. I am waiting for a man. The others in the bar looked shocked at the declaration. They were praying that she would stop talking without thinking and just join them. Life was more important than whatever pride she had. Whoa. Listen to that guy, whatever he says. He is the Straw Hat Luffy. He is the crazy pirate who charged into the War of Summit 2 years ago. Remember, the barkeep tried placating the issue by taking Nami in to listen to them. Ha, waiting for a man? Whoever he is, he will fall on our captain's feet and beg for mercy soon. Now get your ass over here, Sogeking said. I will only say once more. Got it? I got no interest in you. So, I am not going to drink with you. Nami said with disgust visible plainly on her face. Understood, Straw. What was the name again? A vein bulged and twitched on Luffy's face, and he loaded his gun with a click. My name is Straw Hat Luffy. He growled out and pointed his gun at her. Another woman placed her hand on his gun and gently pried it from his grip. Let me take care of this, captain. Her voice was sickly and too sweet for liking. She advanced towards Nami and placed an arm around her shoulders and pointed the gun at the temple of Nami. But Nami didn't look intimidated at the slightest. She was short and had her orange hair flowing out like a mop. Now listen here, you have 2 options. Either to accept Captain Luffy's invitation or die, she said. By the way, just for your information, I have a bounty on my head too. I am the cat bugler, Nami. Don't you forget that. The fake Nami said. Nami didn't reply but just continued drinking her drink. Another figure opened the door and pointed his weapon at the Nami special attack. Green Star, he said in a low voice, barely audible to anyone. He released a green ball through his kabuto which traveled and hit the ground below Nami. Devil, he said, and a monstrous-looking plant grew from the ball and grabbed Nami with its mouth. It looked like Venus flytrap plant but bigger. Eek! Nami yelled as she went up into air. What is this? She shouted. EHH, what is going on? Luffy said in shock, a plant. Help me, Captain, the woman yelled for help. The mystery figure sat beside Nami, who was staring at the scene happening at the bar. Hey, girl, he called out. Nami turned towards the man. He was wearing a hat and wore a bag around his shoulders. Will you drink with me? He used a finger to lift his hat and reveal himself as Usopp. Nami's face bloomed into a huge smile and immediately hugged him. Usopp, it's been a long time since I saw you. Look at you. You have grown so much. Nami gushed. Usopp was standing a foot taller, his chest and arms looked ripped. His muscles looked chiseled, and his overall figure looked pretty strong. Well, you seem to be blossomed as well, Usopp managed to blurt out. That skinny guy was the one you were waiting for, Frankie, of the Straw Hat Pirates commented. Though the guy had poor eyes, as Usopp no longer looked skinny as he used to do. The plant had moved towards the rest of the pirate group, seemingly having consciousness, and wrapped several of its stems around the pirates. They were now hanging upside down. Did you do that? Nami asked, pointing at the plant. Yes, that is my new weapon, Pop Green. I did more than just stare at the ocean for the 2 years. Usopp said. He crossed his legs and pointed himself. Sorry, but I no longer belong to the weakling trio with you and Chopper anymore. I have become a true warrior, he said grinning. Hey kid, don't tell me you did this, Sogeking said. What? Sogeking, how? Usopp exclaimed. Ignore those guys, Usopp, Nami said and started to pull Usopp outside. Let's go somewhere else, I have something to ask you about. Hold it, don't you guys know who I am? Luffy yelled at the duo. Luffy? Usopp said, shocked again. Usopp then threw a bag full of coins to the bartender, paying for Nami's drink and went out. Get those two, we gotta make an example of them for trying to hurt us, Luffy yelled. Oi, what are these black bubbles? Frankie commented sweating. The said bubbles popped and black clouds poured out of it and mixed with several other clouds, darkening the interior. Luffy's face paled and he felt the air pressure drop. The whole bar exploded in brilliant light as several lightning hit the pirate group and the bar altogether. Several bystanders and shoppers looked shocked and confused at the scene. Seriously? You were in Sky Island? Usopp exclaimed as they walked away from the scene. Finally, the lightning died down and the door opened slowly to reveal the charred and smoking form of Luffy and the Straw Hat Pirates. Find those two and kill them, Luffy growled out the order, his face visibly angry from the previous stunt. Grove 44, shoreline, a man clad in black suit jumped out of the ship. His eyes wandered around until it locked on the feminine species of humanity. His eyes turned into hearts, and he started jumping around in joy. Ah! It's a woman. A real woman, Sanji cried. This island contains real women, just as I imagined. The women around him started to get away and distance themselves from this perverted man. Viva Sabaody! I need ladies! Sanji cried as he ran towards them. The woman screamed and tried to escape from him. Sanji Kian! A coarse voice sounded from behind, stopping him on his tracks. The voice made him shiver and he turned around to face the Okamas of Kamabaka Kingdom. Looks like we have to say goodbye, Sanji. We will miss you. We will be seeing you, they said and gave him a smooch. Sanji looked pretty disgusted at it. He pointed them his middle finger. I never want to see you guys again. But thanks for bringing regards to Eva, he said and stared running into the island. You know what they say, boys are pretty wild like that. They pretend to hate the girls that they like. I don't think I'll ever stop thinking about him, one of the Okama mentioned. Wait for me Nami-san, Robin-san. The manly Sanji has returned from hell, he yelled while running. Grove 13, Shaki's bar. The first one here was that idiotic swordsman? The seas are going to be rough for our restart, Sanji said. The second one to arrive was Frankie. He came about 10 days ago and went straight to the ship, said Shaki. Sanji was relieved to hear that Sunny was safe. He was worried about leaving the ship unattended for a long while, but it seems his worries were for naught. Not a single scratch on her. I finished coding her too and he did a great job too, said a voice behind him. It was Rayleigh. Call it a badge of honor. I regret nothing I done, Duval said, who was in bed due to various injuries. A year to recovery, his subordinates chorused in the background. Duval tried to wink, but it came out as a grimace. We owe you a big time, Duval. I didn't realize you were so dutiful, Sanji said, but Duval thought that he was called as handsome and felt so proud of himself. I went through a lot and faced the wrath of nature, but I stood on my ground and protected the ship from those bloodthirsty pirates, day after day after day. I was hurting all over, but I kept on fighting, Duval said while his crewmates cried hearing the sad story. And Nami showed up third, Shaki continued. On hearing this, Sanji started to swirl as he was very excited to meet the ladies. Blood poured through his nose at the excited thought. Usopp arrived fourth, Chopper was fifth, who arrived yesterday, and you came after him. Brook came to this island for a concert. So, in total, there are 7 of you on the archipelago, Shaki said. Only Nico, Robin and Luffy is yet to arrive on the island. Rayleigh said, it's no easy feat to reach this island. You guys are really an amazing bunch. Still, I can't believe you trained Luffy. He must be very powerful now, Sanji commented. Rayleigh smirked. Oh, he is. I can't even imagine how powerful he is now, Rayleigh said. Sanji got a bit confused at the smirk Rayleigh gave. But his thoughts wandered off to the ladies and blood started to pour again. I can't wait to see how much they have grown, Sanji commented while other sweat dropped. Somewhere on the island, reporting from Sabaody archipelago, we have located Nico Robin. A cipher pole agent spoke through the Den Mushi. Don't kill her, we need her alive, the voice from other side ordered. Nico Robin was wearing sunglasses with a backpack. She mingled with the crowd and managed to escape from the followers without much effort. She was holding a bunch of flyers. Brook's concert? Straw Hat Pirates recruitment? What is going on here? Robin wondered out aloud. Grove 33, a concert hall, can't you do anything for us? A man whined. I am sorry, but the tickets are sold out. This is the Soul King Brook's final live concert. The concert hall is packed full, the ticket seller said. Manager, let's make this the greatest concert ever. A voice sounded. He had black shirts and floral patterned pants. He also wore heart-shaped sunglasses and party hat. Definitely. You are the king of soul music. This is going to make us a lot of money, the manager, who had long arms with 2 elbows, exclaimed. Before the concert, I have something important to tell you, Brook said. What is it? Brook. The audience cheered as the star of the show walked in on the stage. I am all bones. Let's make this show the greatest ever, baby, Brook yelled into the mic. The nerve of him to say such thing. I will make sure he will regret his decision, a voice plotted darkly in the background as the concert started. Grove 47, Oi, Zoro, Sanji. Robin, why are you ignoring me? Chopper said as he walked behind the 2 guys. The 2 guys who belonged to the fake Straw Hats tried not to show their discomfort of being followed by a talking raccoon as they continued to walk towards the meeting place of them. Sanji picked some bounty posters from his pocket and shuffled through it until he found what he was looking for. He motioned Zoro to come closer. Look at this, this is the real Tony Chopper of the Straw Hats, he said. I think when they got separated, the pet got stranded on the island and now it thinks we are its guardians. Then let's ditch this fox and get that. It will make us look more authentic, Zoro said. Robin tried to kick out the fox which she held and tried holding a banana in front of the real Chopper in the hopes of making him their pet. But 2 guys appeared from nowhere and picked up Robin in a sack. The other 2 guys looked shocked at this but made no move to stop that. Chopper was terrified at the kidnapping and yelled at the 2 guys to do something. But they didn't move and just said that they wouldn't risk fighting those guys, even if their crewmate was captured. Chopper yelled and cried, then finally turned into his reindeer form, and ran away, unaware of 2 guys watching this scene behind the wall. Navy Branch G1, former headquarters, Marineford. The Straw Hats are on the Sabaody archipelago. A voice rang through the Den Mushi. Yes, and they seem to be recruiting. The Marine officer, who was observing the whole scene, reported to the G1 branch. Contact headquarters, if they are really alive. We'll need the reinforcements right away, the commander ordered. Aye, sir. We will do that immediately, Sabaody Archipelago. Why did you shoot her? A man asked, lying next to his bleeding fiancée. What did we do to you? What? You got a problem with me? Luffy asked. The man cheated but didn't reply anything. The man glared at Luffy, which angered him. He cocked his pistol and pointed at the man. Oi! Stop that! A voice sounded from behind. Luffy whirled around to see who dared to stop him. He looked at two people, one of which was carrying a huge bag. They wore thick hooded sweaters which covered half of their faces. One had a mustache, while the other one wore a mask. The masked one whispered something on the other's ear and they both nodded. The masked one stepped forward, which looked like that the person was challenging the pirates. How dare you to stop me? Luffy pointed the gun at the masked person and shot it, but it was easily dodged. Suddenly, the whole area felt the pressure around them dropping. A burst of pressure hit Luffy and his crew, knocking them out. Others around them stared at the scene with confusion. How did they get knocked out? Before they could ask, the two vanished from the scene, leaving the others more confused than ever. That was a bit reckless, the masked figure commented. Yes, but I just simply wanted to interfere in that. It looked bad, the other person reasoned. Yes, but I told you it wouldn't be good if we were to attract the attention of Marines before we boarded the ship. The masked figure sighed. Yes. But you are amazing that you came up with this plan, the other figure said. Flashback, Luffy, I have packed everything that we will need for the next 2 weeks. Hancock said, pointing at the mountain of a bag that was behind her. That is too much. Grandma Nyan yelled. Hancock had the decency to look embarrassed. After removing many unwanted things, Luffy lifted the bag, which still looked big as it contained several things of Hancock and food for Luffy. Luffy, wear this, Hancock said as she handed over a fake mustache to him. Luffy looked at it confused. Why should I wear this? This will help in boarding the ship without getting noticed. This way we won't get the attention of Marines before we leave this island, she said. And I, of course, will be wearing this, she said as she took out a mask which fit her face. Everyone thinks you are dead, but thanks to what happened 2 years ago, the whole world knows your face. IT will make it hard to get off from this island. Wow, Hancock, you are so brilliant, Luffy commented as he smiled at her. She blushed up storm under his gaze and simply wore her mask to hide it. If you are in need of something, Kuja pirates will come for your aid, Maria said. Sister, please take care of your health and be safe out there, Sandersonia said, tears falling from her eyes. Yes, try not to get hurt. I know you are strong, but there are monsters out in the sea, left unsaid as Maria wiped her tears. Hancock nodded and blinked away her unshed tears. Luffy, please take care of our sister, Maria said one last time. Okay, thanks for everything, Luffy said grinning. Flashback ends. Oh, stop it, Luffy. You are going to make me faint from your compliments, Hancock complained. But she was red in face. Luffy just laughed and continued forward. They both strode forward, with the intention of going to Shaki's bar. Luffy spotted two guys, one with yellow-colored hair and other green-haired. Oi, Sanji, Zoro, Luffy yelled as he walked towards them. Hancock was confused as those two looked very different from the bounty posters. Their auras had barely any power. But she shrugged and walked towards them along with Luffy. After all, he was with them the longest. If he was sure, she wouldn't question it. 2 years can change many things. The two in question looked towards the strangers whom they have never met, calling the names of the identities they wore. Sanji and Zoro exchanged a look, sweating slightly. How are you guys? It's been 2 years since we met, Luffy started talking excitedly while the other two were nervous, which didn't go unnoticed by Hancock. Haha, yes, it's been long, was it? Sanji laughed. As he woke up, his head felt groggy and unstable. He sat there for a few moments, which seemed to clear his head. He slowly stood up to see his crewmates waking up as well. It was the Luffy of Straw Hat Pirates. First a guy with long nose and a woman wearing a bikini insults me and hurts me. Now a guy with mustache and a huge back and a masked person somehow made me lose my consciousness. His anger grew with every word he spoke. Find them and bring them. I don't care what you do, but I want to kill them, he said. His crew immediately nodded and called others. Sanji picked up the Den Den Mushi and he listened to the orders. His face paled when he realized that the two that his captain mentioned were actually with them. He quickly cut the call and joined back into the conversation. "Do you know where the others are?" Luffy asked Sanji. "Oh, others? Why yeah. Let's go there," Sanji stuttered and walked towards that place. Grove 46, the Straw Hats intent to gather the pirates they recruited at Grove 46 inches. A marine relayed the information to G1 branch. "Evacuate the citizens immediately. The pirates are gathering at Grove 46, we will enter the lawless zone. All hands prepare for battle." The branch commander roared out the orders. "I am going ahead of you guys." Another voice sounded as the branch commander turned around. "Sentomaru-san. I am taking PX5 and PX7 with me," Sentomaru said. "What? You are using the pacifistas?" the marine commander asked. "Of course. You guys are underestimating the Straw Hat pirates. It's been 2 years. They will be definitely stronger than they were. They are far superior to the bullheads that are gathering on the island," Sentomaru said. The commander gulped and nodded. "Grove 17, Sonny, we made you wait for 2 long years," Robin said as she approached the ship. "I am glad you are safe." "Ah, look at the beautiful woman over there," a voice sounded from the ship. "Isn't that our archaeologist, Robin?" Silence rang through the grove as they both stared at each other. It was Robin who broke the silence. "You haven't changed a bit, Frankie." "Oh, what are you saying? I have changed all right. Look at this body. Behold the greatest transformation of all time, beyond human comprehension," Frankie exclaimed. He was standing with his huge hands, which were cubical rather than cylindrical. His shoulders were also huge and spherical, with BF-37 tag on it. Robin just shrugged as she jumped into the ship. Her feet didn't feel the wood, but rather the coating over the ship. It felt bubbly and bouncy. "So, this is the ship's new coating. It feels like jelly," Robin commented. "Yes, Rayleigh's a genius. We can sail to the depth of the sea. Isn't it wonderful?" Frankie clashed his huge fists again. "I want to see Rayleigh already," Robin said. "Oh, you went to the bar? What number are you?" Frankie asked. "I am the 8th. Luffy is the only one we are waiting for," Robin said. "Oh, that's great. Then we will be heading out pretty soon. I've finished the maintenance with all the new weaponry too," Frankie laughed. "Usopp and Sanji came by already," Frankie said. Usopp went to get fuel and Sanji's buying food. Robin then asked about Brook's live poster. "Yes, I have heard about it. He went from being someone who was traveling in a dark sea in despair to an international star. Maybe he won't want to be a pirate anymore," Frankie said with a somber tone. Grove 42, "Hey, fisherman. How's the catch today? Can you sell anything to me cheap?" Sanji said into the shop. He heard a voice behind him yelling something. "What's wrong?" Sanji inquired. "Ah, he is gone. The green-haired guy," the fisherman said. "There was this guy with 3 swords. He said he was bored and wanted to go fishing. I told him to wait on the boat while I prepared things." "He had green hair and 3 swords? Was he wearing a sash as well?" Sanji asked. "That's right, he also had a scar on one eye." "Do you know him?" the fisherman asked. Sanji rolled up the poster of Zoro and showed it to him. "That's him, are you, his friend?" he asked. Sanji cringed. "Well, we are acquainted I guess. I saw him sleeping on a pirate ship that was next to my boat. I yelled him to come down, but it was too late. The ship was coated, and it is probably on its way to Fisherman Island," fisherman said. "That idiot," Sanji said sweating. "I thought it was strange that he got here first. I should have known he would get into trouble." He then turned to the fisherman. "Well, he will probably be fine. It isn't that easy to kill that guy. Anyway, you got any fish for me?" he said. Meanwhile, a group was gathering near the edge of the cliff. "Hey, look at that. Something huge is surfacing," a guy said as he pointed out at the bubbles. A huge galleon rose up from the sea. "It's a huge pirate ship," they yelled. "It looks like it has been cut into half." "Don't be an idiot," another guy commented. "No one could cut such a large ship." "You," a voice gasped out, needy for air. He looked at the figure that sat on the mast of the ship with its sword drawn. "Ruined out dream of entering the new world. Fate. Consider that a payment for kidnapping me," the figure said, as he slowly sheathed his sword. "Ah, look, he is back. Well, whatever. It's not that I care," Sanji said, puffing the smoke from his cigarette. Phew, looks like I got on the wrong ship. Roronoa Zoro said, wiping the water of his face. Grove 35, Robin. Where are you? Chopper yelled as he ran through the streets of the grove. I can't believe those guys, Zoro, Sanji. They used to care for each other so much. Now they don't even care that Robin has been kidnapped. I have to tell this to Luffy immediately. Hey, Chopper. A voice yelled in the crowd. Chopper turned to search for the voice. Hey, here, Usopp shouted as Chopper looked in his direction. Usopp. A happy smile bloomed on his face. Chopper, look at you. You have grown. You will be a lot easier to ride now as well, Usopp said. How have you been? It's so true. You are so soft as well. Nami appeared on his side, cupping his face, and rubbed it against hers. Nami, guys, I am so happy to see you, Chopper cried. Wait, I am glad to see you. But Robin has been kidnapped. She is in trouble, Chopper said frantically. Usopp and Nami looked at Isur exclaimed. Those guys were imposters? Oh, come on, Robin has been running away from the world government for 20 years. Do you really think she would let them take her away in a sack of all things? Nami said, exasperated. Yeah, I thought the smells were also weird. Chopper said. Now I am just getting mad. How dare they, pretending to be us. It's not like we are famous. Those jerks, Chopper commented, blushing and laughing with the usual dance of his. But Nami stopped it by hitting him lightly on his head. Why are you so happy? It can't be helped that Luffy's is very famous for his stunts 2 years ago. We are famous in a bad way, Nami commented as they rowed towards the ship. Grove 41, hey, I am going to the shore. I want to go fishing, Zoro said as he walked along with Sanji. No way, Sanji declined. I'm not walking with you because I want to. If I let you go on your own, you will just get lost, Moss head. HMPH. Number 7 telling what number 1 to do, Zoro sighed. What? You're ranking us according to when we got here. It's a miracle that you got here first, Sanji yelled. Sure, whatever, number 7, Marimo. They both got into fighting stance, with Sanji's leg blazing with fire and Zoro's sword getting a black sheen. The passerby got away from the air getting thick around them. Zoro swung his sword at Sanji, who stopped with his leg. They both started to exchange blows. Grove 33, stop it right there. The concert is hereby cancelled. You're suspected of being the second captain of Rumbar Pirates, also known as Humming Swordsman, Brook. On top of that, we also have information that you're one of Straw Hat Luffy's crewmates. A Marine yelled at Brook, who was standing on the stage, ready to perform his encore. Soul King, Brook, you are under arrest. The crowd started whispering to each other. Many started crying at the mention of arrest. It's all over, Brook. The manager came onto the stage with a gun pointed at Brook. You betrayed us. Let's all die together. He is a pirate, but they said Straw Hat Luffy was dead? People yelled at Marines. Backup band and dancers. Would you please join me for one last song? Brook spoke. Don't worry, my music has power after all. Are you insane? It's over, Brook, manager yelled. Thank you helping me for the past 2 years, manager, Brook said. This island has the memory of our defeat, but it is also the island of new beginnings. He then faced the crowd and brought the mic closer. Straw Hat Luffy, dead? Brook said, the crowd going silent. That's ridiculous. Tell the whole world. Straw Hat Luffy is alive. Brook yelled. He'll be the king of all oceans one day. It's not fitting for him to have a calm departure, oh baby. Listen to my last soul. The new world, Brook yelled as the crowd went crazy. They started to push the Marines out from the concert dome, wanting to listen to his last song. The news reporters were in a frenzy as they relied on this news to their headquarters. Grove 17, he's incredible, Usopp yelled as they looked at Frankie's new transformation. Chopper was literally in air due to his excitement. You're a robot. Can you shoot laser beams? What about missiles? Chopper barraged down questions after questions. Calm down, Chopper. You will have a heart attack, Usopp exclaimed. Robin, Nami called out, coming down from the cliff. Nami, you look great, Robin said. Nami looked at Frankie and her nose scrunched up in disgust and she sweat dropped. What happened with his body? Nami asked. Robin shrugged. What has he been doing for the last 2 years? Nami asked herself. Frankie, can you show me the weapons? Chopper asked excitedly. Don't be stupid. I won't do the main event until Luffy's here, Mecha, Frankie said in a robotic voice, sending both Chopper and Usopp jumping around in excitement. Hello, Straw Hats, Rayleigh said as he and Shaggy walked down the cliff. Rayleigh and Shaggy, Nami exclaimed with a smile. The situation on the island has changed, Rayleigh said. The Navy? That's right. They think the imposters are real Straw Hats and they have mobilized their forces, Shaggy said. I know because I have tapped into their communications. I've warned Brook at Concert Hall. He should be coming here soon. Really? He is giving up being a star? I knew he had guts, Frankie said. Nami, you're the navigator, right? I am going to teach you how to control a coded ship. It is vital that you learn it well, Rayleigh said. Nami nodded, full of determination. I'll do my best. Rayleigh, Luffy isn't here yet, Usopp exclaimed. Don't worry. Luffy will be more than fine. He is already on the island, and he is projecting his massive presence like a beacon. He also brought someone with him that I may have expected to come along with him, Rayleigh said with a smile, and he looked towards Shaggy. Shaggy looked confused for a second, but understanding passed through her face and she grinned at him. I gave a baby transponder snail to Sanji, and he is with Zoro now, Frankie said. Good. But they'd better hurry. The Navy is getting close. Luffy is the only one we haven't found yet, Shaggy said as she gave them a Vivre card which would lead Luffy and the mysterious person to them. Grove 42 would be a good place to anchor your ship. Have everyone assemble there. It might be a little rough, but it's time to put the past behind and start anew, Rayleigh advised them as they agreed to it. Grove 33, we are in state of panic here. When we tried to arrest Soul King Brook, his fans started rioting. A Navy commander informed it to someone through the Den Den Mushi. In the meantime, one of Duval's crewmate picked Brook up from the concert hall to Grove 42 where the crew was waiting for him. Grove 41, two were fighting like blazing infernos, clashing with each other. Blows after blows were exchanged among them. They both stopped and panted for air. Huh, looks like you have learned some sword swinging skills, Sanji commented. Yeah, looks like your leg has hardened a bit more as well, Zoro said. They both were ready to go at it again when the Den Den Mushi started ringing. Understood. The shore of Grove 42, isn't that right? Sanji asked. That's right. We'll meet up there. Frankie answered Sanji through the Den Den Mushi. What was it? Zoro asked. Let's see, Navy come. We go ship. Run. Got it? Sanji explained as if he was explaining to a baby. That got Zoro mad. I thought it would be easier for a musclehead like you to understand, Sanji smirked. All right. I am going to cut you up later. By the way, don't you feel the massive presence on that island there? Zoro said as he pointed at the Grove 46. Yeah. Island, noisy, Sanji replied. Grove 46. Reporting from Grove 46, the Straw Hats are gathering here. I can confirm the identities of 4 captains. A Marine said into his Den Den Mushi. Gashed, Albion with a bounty of 92 million Baileys, Lip, Service, Doughty with a bounty of 88 million Baileys, Wet-haired, Caribou and his brother and co-captain, Bloodsplatter, Coraboo. If they all team up with Straw Hat, it would be. The Marine stopped at a sound coming behind him. He whirled around to see Caribou hovering over him. Hey, did you just summon soldiers here? Caribou voiced out as he picked up the soldier by his neck. And no, but I was about to, the Marine stuttered. Because that would be very bad if you did that. I might have to paint the entire plaza with your blood, he said with a dark grin on his face. He dropped the Marine and addressed his brother. The Marine tried to get the gun on his back, but suddenly Caribou turned towards him with a maniacal grin on his face. He got a stick out of nowhere and stabbed the Marine on his shoulder. Oh Lord, have mercy. Forgive this foolish soldier who tried to kill me with a pistol. That's enough, Caribou. Luffy's voice sounded on the plaza, and everyone turned towards him. He is here, it's Captain Luffy, many shouted and cheered. Let that insignificant soldier be. Look around. You may not know each other, but as of Todsels, you are all Straw Hat pirates, he yelled, and many started cheering about his glory. That means, when I become the king of the pirates, you'll all share in the spoils and the glory. But to make that I need every one of you to work and fight for me, he said. I summoned you all here for one reason. Your precious boss has been insulted by a bunch of nobodies. They are still on this island somewhere. Find them and bring them to me, Luffy ordered. Aye, Captain. We will make them pay, the pirates chorused. But 2 years is a long time. You guys are a lot quieter than you used to be. Luffy wondered aloud. This mustache guy seems to know the real Straw Hats. Who is he? Sanji said. Don't know, but keep your mouth shut. The masked person seems to be glaring at us for some reason, Zoro commented. They all reached the Grove 46, where their crew was gathered. The duo breathed relief when they saw Luffy, with several other big-time rookies. Captain Luffy, Sanji called at the fake Luffy who was standing up at the platform. Call me Big Boss, you fools, he yelled. Aren't these the guys you were looking for? Sanji asked. Hancock's face twitched. So, these guys were imposters. They were running this whole thing on her beloved's name. She pulled aside Luffy quickly and whispered to him. Luffy, these guys are imposters who are running this entire thing on your name and your crew's name. The Sanji and Zoro are not real. Luffy's lips twitched, and he smirked. I know. I have sensed that they are fake the moment I saw them. I just wanted to have some fun, Hancock gaped at Luffy. Truth be told, Luffy knew they were fake because of the random memories that popped up when he ate the fruit. He wanted to confirm that they were actually real or just some random dream. But now he knew it was dream, yet it still irked him that he didn't know why he was getting these flashes of memories. Hancock just smirked back and stepped back. She would let her love have his fun. No one here could even touch him, let alone hurt him. If they had such thoughts, they would have to fight their way through her for that to happen. The fake Luffy's face morphed into a huge grin. This would be perfect opportunity for him to use. Listen up, men, he yelled. We found 2 of the culprits. We'll start by teaching them a lesson. And the rest of you take note. This is what happens to anybody who defies me. Before anything could happen, many Marines started to swarm into the island. Hold it right there, pirates, a Marine yelled. Straw Hat and his underlings, surrender now. They have blocked us. We have nowhere to run, a pirate yelled. Navy? Well, it is not a problem. Some of these men have bounties over 100 million, Luffy said. Caribou, Koribu. Use that Marine on the floor as a human shield and get us out of here, he ordered. Big Boss, I'm afraid that's impossible. He lied to us about the Navy, Caribou said as he drew a long sword from his inside, courtesy of his devil fruit. And no, please, don't do it. I was telling the truth, the Marine begged. Caribou brought his sword up and with one swing, he beheaded the Marine completely. The rest of the plaza were in shock. Marines shocked that one of them was beheaded ruthlessly in the middle of the area. Luffy was shocked that his orders were ignored and now he had to think other ways of escaping this situation. Hancock and Luffy were indifferent to this situation as they merely observed what was going on. They have no intention of surrendering, it seems. The Marine captain growled out his words. Destroy the pirates, he yelled, and the Marines charged into action. I smell blood, Caribou said, licking his lips with his long tongue. Stupid Navy. Our boss is Straw Hat Luffy. The man with a bounty of 400 million inches, a pirate shouted as he charged into battle. A Marine charged at lip service Doughty, but he was subdued easily without any effort. The Marine captain who witnessed the death of his fellow comrade swung his sword at Caribou, but it sunk into his skin as it became all muddy. The captain was at a shock. You're a devil fruit user. At first the Marines were getting hit heavily as there wasn't a way for them to defend from the pirates. But a sound of charging and laser being fired sounded in the area as all turned towards it. Marines gained a hopeful look as they looked the scene. Pacifistas, a pirate screamed as he ran away from there. Those are the human weapons from the Paramount War. What are they doing here? Pirate, Straw Hat Luffy confirmed. A robotic voice sounded as the pacifista locked onto the Straw Hat. They dispatched the strong pirates like lip service Doughty with ease. We are in big trouble. Big Boss, do something, pirates yelled as they looked at the stage, only to find him not there. Only the mustache man and the masked person was there. Hurry up, we're getting out of here. We can't fight something that can take out Doughty like it's nothing, Luffy said as he ran. But he couldn't run far as he bumped into a pacifista and Sentomaru on his way. "Oh, see there, Big Boss is going to fight," a pirate shouted. "Get him. Show him what a 400 million belly pirate can do." Sentomaru looked confused. "Why are they calling you Straw Hat?" "Hey, do you know who I am? Step aside unless you want me to kill you. I am the son of Dragon. I am Garp's grandson. I have a bounty of 400 million. That's all he said before he was smashed in his head with axe by Sentomaru. "You're not Straw Hat, you piece of trash." "What?" the pirates yelled. "Big Boss." "Now I get it. These fake Straw Hats had them fooled. But by the looks of it, you all are going to be arrested here," Sentomaru said as everyone looked shocked at the revelation. "PX5 identify him." Bounty 26 million Baileys. Pirate, triple tongue Damalo Black. The fake Straw Hats ran away as they were identified as imposters. But due to some luck, the real Straw Hat also happened to be here, Sentomaru said, once again sending the plaza into silence. PX5 detected him when we entered into this area. "Target him PX5, Sentomaru ordered. PX5 opened its mouth and fired a laser beam. Luffy lazily dodged the laser beam, causing a huge explosion behind him. The thick sweater fell, revealing him in all his glory, with his cloak fluttering behind him, giving an intimidating look. Hey, be careful," Luffy drawled. "My food is in the bag, you know." He grinned at the Marine. That's him. That's similar to the face on the wanted poster." A pirate yelled. It's him. It's Straw Hat Luffy."